Good morning and welcome to Hamburg, a major port city in northern Germany. It's Germany's second largest city and it's rich in triathlon history, and today it plays host to the IRONMAN European Championship Hamburg. Today is the Pro Female European Championship. The Pro Male European Championship will take place on August 18th over in Frankfurt. Today is the sixth stop of our Ironman Pro Series and the second Ironman event in the series, and our second stop in Europe. I'm your host, Didi Griesbauer, live in studio along the four-time Ironman champion and multiple other long-distance titles, including Extreme Tri, Laura Siddall. Sid, welcome to Hamburg. What else is on the line today for our athletes?
Thanks, Didi. It's great to be in the studio with you. Well, today at this women's race, we have 6 pro-female qualifying slots available for the VinFast Ironman World Championships in Nice. 5 of the women on the start line already have qualified for Nice, so there's plenty of opportunity for the rest of the women. More points on the line today as well, with the winner earning 5,000 points towards the Ironman Pro Series. So we can expect a big shake-up at the end of in the series, with the points standing after today, where every second matters.
And of course, $87,500 prize purse for today, with the winner taking home $28,000, all the way to paying through to 10th place for $2,000.
Not a bad day. And checking out the weather, we can see that a little bit overcast at the moment. The weather by Roka, it's 16 degrees C, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. As I said, a little bit overcast. The water temperature is 18.9 degrees C, 66 degrees Fahrenheit, so wetsuit swim. And we can see obviously on screen our pro females now getting ready. We'll go through the colored caps shortly, pick out some of the notables, but I can see Maya Stage-Nielsen on screen now, talking with Jackie Herring down by the waterfront in Hamburg.
That's right, our athletes going about their morning rituals, getting in a little bit of a pre-swim warm-up. We have such an incredible field here today for our professional women, befitting a European Championship event. We're going to talk about so many of those athletes once we get underway, but up for grabs, as we said, a lot of points in the Pro Series standing, a lot of prize money, 6 qualifying slots for the Ironman World Championship in Nice, and age group slots available as well. We do have age groupers competing, both men and women today.
Yeah, I think we've got 75 slots for age group females and 45 slots for age group men. So obviously it's a pro female only race, but we have obviously got age group men and women racing. So lots of opportunities for everybody to get to either the VinFast Ironman World Championships in Nice or the Kona this year in September and October.
And as we take a look at the swim start here, we can see the crowds starting to gather. And I can tell you, Sid, in chatting with some of our professional females pre-race, one of the things they were most looking forward to in racing here in Hamburg, obviously the fast course, looking for fast times today, but the German spectators. The German spectators are next level when it comes to their love of triathlon.
First up, we have bib number F1 is Kat Matthews from Great Britain, and she's in our dark blue swim cap. She won Ironman Texas a few weeks ago.
And wearing bib number 2, F2 from Great Britain, Fenella Langridge. She is wearing the powder blue swim cap. She's currently 5th in the Pro Series ranking and had her first Ironman win at Western Australia just last year.
And with bib F3 is German, probably local favorite, Daniela Blamel. She's obviously from Germany. She's in our pink swim cap. It's her first Ironman Pro Series event for the year, but she did win Hamburg back in 2017.
And wearing bib number F4 out of Denmark, it's Maya Stage-Nielsen. She will wear our orange swim cap today. She's currently 12th in our Pro Series ranking. Sid, she's a former national team golfer with several top 5 finishes, and today could potentially be her first Ironman win.
And bib number F6 is Jackie Herring from the USA. She's in our light blue swim cap. She's currently 8th in the Ironman Pro Series after second place at the Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga. This is her first full distance since 2015, and it's her first Ironman in Europe as well.
And wearing bib number 7, F7, that's Sarah Svenk from Sweden. She is wearing a dark blue swim cap today. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were in studio in Mallorca, where she finished 3rd at the Zafiro Ironman 70.3 Alcudia, Mallorca. She currently sits 31st in the Pro Series of rankings. That's Sarah Svensk.
And F8 is Laura Janssen from Germany. She's just in our silver swim cap. This is her first Ironman Pro Series event. She was actually 4th at Ironman Frankfurt last year. One of the local German favorites.
The Germans certainly going to be giving a lot of shouts out to Laura Janssen today. Following Laura Janssen is wearing bib number 9, F9, from the Netherlands. This is Els Visser. She will be wearing a purple swim cap today. This is her first Pro Series event. She had strong 2024 results, however, with a first place at Ironman 70.3 Lapu Lapu and a second place at Ironman New Zealand.
And F10 is Elisabetta Corridori from Italy. She's in our yellow swim cap. She's 37th in the standings. She was 6th at the Zafiro Ironman 70.3 Alcudia Mallorca. Again, the race that we were both at a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, I think she'll be good, fairly solid across the board.
And rounding out our top 10 women here today, wearing bib number 11, F11, out of France, it's Julie Yamolo. She's wearing a pink swim cap. She is currently 43rd in our points standings. She finished 9th at the Zafiro Ironman 70.3 Alcudia Mallorca, and this is her first full distance Ironman as a pro. Well, there we go. That is our top 10, but there are many other athletes in our field today. Strong athletes vying for one of those 6 qualifying slots for the Ironman World Championship in Nice, as well as a lot of prize money, $87,500 in prize money up for grabs as well. So the athletes saying their final goodbyes to supporters, to race organizers, as they make their way into the water.
Didi, what are you excited about today? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the excitement. Several of our competitors are already qualified for Nice, but there are, as we said, 6 slots up for grabs. And so I think it's going to be really exciting to see which women secure themselves a spot to compete in Nice on September the 22nd. And also to see what happens in our Pro Series ranking. We have a little bit of a tit for tat going on between European series or Europe races and races over in America. So let's take a look at our course here today. We will get started with the Roca swim course. It is a 1-lap, 3.8 kilometer, 2.4 mile swim in water start with a counterclockwise flow. Athletes will start at Jungfraujoch Jetty through the Binneslater Bridge into the Ulster before heading back. I totally butchered that, and I apologize. My German will get better.
This is Didi Griesbauer with a German name. The full gas bike course is 2 laps. It goes along the city centre, taking in some of the idyllic sights of the Reeperbahn and the fish market before it out to the countryside, but it is a very fast and flat course.
Of course, this takes us to the Hoka run course, which will be 4 loops, totaling 42.2 kilometers. Expect really fast run times as the course takes athletes through the heart of the city of Hamburg along the western bank of the Ulster Lake. Athletes will have to pass the finish line a total of 3 times before they get to enter that final finish line chute.
Is that extra motivation or extra pain as they see the finish line that many times? I think I always used to hate that, running past the finish line.
I think it's a little bit of both, but we have our professional athletes getting in the water. It's a little chilly this morning. So as we mentioned, air temperature 16 degrees Celsius, water temperature 18.9 degrees Celsius. So the athletes taking their time getting in the water. They don't want to necessarily catch a chill. Some will have gotten in probably an on-land type of warm-up with temperatures being that chilly this morning. Particularly those that struggle in the cold will do a very, very short warm-up before getting underway. Let's take a look at our current Pro Series point standings. Right now, Danielle Lewis holding on strong to the top position. She's raced 4 Pro Series events, never finishing any worse than 9th. She's been very consistent. And of course, in second place, Emma Pallant-Brown from Great Britain. She moved up 6 spots with her win at the Qatar Airlines Ironman 70.3 in Chattanooga. She earned 2,500 points for that win. Kylie Simpson has moved up 1 spot with her 11th place finish at Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga. Alice Albert's also a mover. She moved up 6 spots with a 6th place finish at the Qatar Airways Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga. And Jackie Herring moved up 12 spots to put her inside the top 10. She's currently sitting in 8th. She finished 2nd to Emma in Chattanooga just a couple of weeks ago. And of course, with all the points on offer today, look for Jackie Herring to potentially move up as well.
Yeah, that's right. And obviously, Fenella, Kat, Penny Slater, Lottie Wilms, and Hannah Berry, who aren't here today, but Fenella and Kat are, they haven't raced since the Memorial Herman Ironman in Texas, but they're still in that top 10 ranking. So I'm sure that, like we said, after today, there's going to be a lot of shake-up. This is an Ironman event. It is 5,000 points. Remember, the pro female and male Ironman Pro Series champions, those that have earned the most points at the end of the series, will win $200,000 US each. Places 1 to 50 will share a year-end bonus prize purse totaling $1.7 million, as well as the prize money from each of the individual events. And I've actually gone through, and we'll talk about it later in the day, I've worked out what the deficit from the winner a lot of those athletes need to be to take over from Danielle Lewis at the top of the prize series.
Well, let's talk about how those points work. So the Ironman Pro Series female and male winners will be determined by the total number of points each athlete earns throughout the series. First place at an Ironman event earns 5,000 points. So 5,000 points up for grabs for our women today. At the VinFast Ironman World Champion will earn 6,000 points. Points for all the remaining pro finishers behind first place will diminish at a rate of 1 point per second deficit to the first place time. So as soon as that winner crosses the finish line, we start our watches and the points start evaporating every second that passes before the next athlete gets themselves to the finish line. So lots of racing still to go. We're still early in the race season, lots of points, lots of movements in our series rankings. And you better believe that with each week, every athlete tunes in to see what happened at the races and where their points standings have them in the series so far. Welcome back to the Ironman European Championship Frankfurt. Our professional women are in the water and ready to get underway. Did I say Frankfurt?
You did, Hamburg.
Hamburg.
The
men will be racing. The men are racing in Frankfurt.
It's a big German city.
August.
We're going to be there at some point.
We're going to get there. We're getting there. I need another cup of coffee. Coffee, someone. Our professional women are underway here at the Ironman European Championship Hamburg. Underway here on our Roca swim course. Let's look for some of those color-coded caps, Sid.
That's right, and we're going to talk about hamburgers later as well, which is going to make it enforce you to say Hamburg. So Kat Matthews is in our dark blue cap, bib number F1. Fenella Langridge is in that powder blue. She's probably going to be one of the caps at the front. Daniela Blymel is in the pearly pink. Maya Stage Nelson is orange. Jackie Herring, another light blue. Sarah Svenks, is in a dark blue again. Els Visser in the purple. Elisabetta Curidori in the yellow. Julie Yemelo is in the pink, and Carolyn Lee Ryder is in the green.
And as we look at our athletes underway here, some of our stronger swimmers in the field, keep an eye out for Fenella Langridge. I have no doubt she will make an early mark on this race. Maya Stage Nielsen, also a strong swimmer. Kat Matthews has made great strides on her swim, and she'll want to keep Fenella in her sights.
Yeah, Kat was very confident about her swimming and where it was at leading into the race. So, I mean, I think Fenella, in theory, should be clear out the water with a few minutes lead, but hey, you never know in the race, and if someone can jump on those feet and hang with it as long as they can.
Absolutely. Fabia Maramotti, also a pretty strong swimmer. Some of the athletes that are going to have to be super on the money here to minimize the gaps would be Daniela Blymel, a very, very strong cyclist, but she's not the strongest swimmer in the field, so she's going to be one of those athletes, one of our favorites, looking to minimize her deficits as they get underway here on the Roca swim course.
That's right, and I think, I mean, at the moment, there we can see Fenella at the front with, I'm guessing that is Julie as well in the pink cap next, so she's a very good swimmer. Trying to get that break away from a silver cap behind, I think that is. The women, when we saw it, looked like they were a little bit spread out as well, but I'm kind of seeing like Fenella and Julie might be up ahead, but then, actually, because this is Julie's first Ironman full distance, so got no sort of rankings on what she can do, but we know from her half-distance racing, she's a very good swimmer.
Yeah, she's got a very, very strong swim background. Actually said that she didn't actually want to be a swimmer. Her parents made her, forced her to get in the pool. And it wasn't her passion. When she found triathlon, she did find her true passion, but certainly has an excellent foundation as a swimmer. Sid, do you remember back to your first Ironman? Is there any reason, if you're Julie Umolo right now and you're swimming stroke for stroke with Fenella Langridge, do you defer at all? Do you say, hey, this is a woman who knows what she's doing. She's been around the block a few times at the Ironman distance. Maybe just get on her feet and let her drive the pace for a little while?
I love that you asked me if I was in that situation for my first Ironman.
I'm always an optimist. I'm always an optimist.
At the front of the race in my first Ironman and never have been since. No, I would, look, she's got the confidence in her swim, and that's her background, but with it being a first Ironman, I would probably, you know, we know Fenella's a good swimmer. I would probably defer to Fenella and maybe tuck in on the feet. Maybe they're just trying to get away at the moment. They've sort of got a bit of a gap, but they're not clear water. It's sort of, you can see there was, what, 6 athletes there, but sort of in 2 and 2. And she is swapping back now. I don't think Fenella, I don't know, maybe she was expecting company. I'm not sure she will want the company. She'll probably want to get away on her own.
I would imagine she's going to want to get away on her own, particularly since you're dealing with a pro in her first full distance race as a pro, might not have the chutzpah to move to the front of the race ahead of someone. I would be intimidated swimming stroke for stroke with Fenella Langridge. I wouldn't want to be so presumptuous as to take over that lead, but it doesn't appear that Julie's going to want to do a whole lot of work for Fenella either.
No, and I'd be quite annoyed if I were, again, in my huge experience in swimming, and anyone drafting off me is in serious trouble, but I'd be quite annoyed if I was Fenella and had Julie sitting on my hip like that. You know, I would say just, yeah, drop back onto my feet, sit there. We can talk about that a bit later about the positioning, although now we're seeing Julie sort of come up level, shoulder to shoulder. We are underway with the Ironman Hamburg women's race. It's a women's only race, and we will come right back to you with more of this swim after the break.
And looking on our screen, you can see that Fenella may have gotten a little upset with Julie being sort of on her hip there and has decided to take a free ride and get on her feet. It's a smart veteran's move.
It is, but they're not quite getting away. I think we had a bit of a view panning back a minute ago, and they haven't got a gap fully yet from the rest of the field. I think they'll be hoping that by the end of the swim, that is a little bit more, you know, I think sort of that 3 or 4 minutes is what you see now. We can see here there's, I think that's an orange cap we can see, which could be Maya Stage Nelson, or I think we have another athlete in an orange cap as well, but it could be Maya there. Actually, they have got a bigger gap, so that was my apologies, just getting the wrong camera angle. We can see those two breaking away at the front, but and Fenella sitting behind. I think Fenella, she had that win. She won Ironman Western Australia at the end of last year, which was her first Ironman win, and she's sort of been getting on the podiums a lot, but hadn't quite got that win under her belt. I think she's had a pretty mixed start to the year. She's sort of been very strong and dominant in the swim and the bike, but her run hasn't quite clicked yet, I don't think. So I feel she'll be wanting to right that today and have a good run off the back of her solid swim and bike.
Well, certainly the course sets up for it, and the conditions on the day set up for it. It's a little bit overcast. We had some rain this week, not meant to rain significantly today. It looks a little gray and somewhat blustery, but that could be, you know, the cooler temperatures could set up. I mean, I think if you looked at her run from Texas, would certainly be marked as a disappointment compared to what she did in Western Australia. But the conditions on the day, it was a brutal bike course back in Texas with the wind. I think that took a lot out of the athletes, and not very many athletes, including the winner in Kat Matthews, ran PR marathon times off the bike on that day. But you know, it's a valuable lesson in that we can go into racing with the best plans, but as my coach reminds me often, we are not machines, we are human, and we are fragile to the conditions that the race day presents. So I agree she'll be looking to right that, but looking at PRs on paper, it's a big ask. She's gonna have to get up and get out ahead of Kat pretty fast.
Yeah, I think probably she needs about a 10-minute gap off the bike. I think if Kat's on a running form, and Kat was pretty coy leading into the race. Kat's not shy of saying her goals and stuff for the race and saying what she wants to get out of it. And but she did coyly sort of say, oh, I don't think I'm in record baking shape, but then sort of wink, wink. And I think with Kat, I feel she's either a sort of go big or go home athlete. She doesn't race that much, but when she does, she wants to put down a performance that really makes people kind of sit up and take notice. So I would imagine that's what she'll want to get. I have a feeling she might be going after Laura Phillips' course record in Hamburg this year. But yeah, Fenella was certainly wanting to be putting as much time into, or hoping to get as much time in the swim and ride hard like she did in Texas to keep that lead off the bike. I don't think she'll have as many women with her on the bike, though, today as she did in Texas. There was sort of that group of 4 at the front.
Yeah, I do think based on swim predictions, perhaps, for today's race and past performances, these women may be a little bit more spread out than they were in Texas. But it is a very, very flat course, which makes it kind of harder to break away, but also simultaneously, if there is a gap out of the swim, harder to make that up.
You've also got some really strong bikers that will be in that sort of chase pack in the water. So, you know, Daniela Bleimel, Maya Stage Nelson, Jackie Herring, Sarah Svenks, Els Visser. I think, like, Els Visser to me has really gone kind of under the radar coming into this race. She has raced a lot this year, so maybe that's, you know, I think this is her 8th race. She was 2nd at Ironman New Zealand back in March. She's had some fantastic results over the half distance, raced a lot, and she's just improved so much over the last few years and is really a contender. But I think leading into this race, you know, she's sort of flying under the radar. She's running really well. She's a really strong biker. It'll just be sort of, again, what deficit she has out the water. But her swimming's going pretty well as well. And if she's got a bit of a pack with her, I think there'll be a strong chase pack on the bike.
Yeah, she has turned in some extremely strong performances on the bike and run. Again, not the same PR level as a Kat Matthews. And she will have, I think, a deficit even perhaps to Kat out of the water. Time obviously will tell. But to your point, she is an athlete who likes to race a lot. I think I counted up her results from 2023. There's like 12 races.
Yeah, you're right.
In 2023, it's astounding that someone can race and recover that quickly, and it's absolutely unbelievable.
And 5 of those were full races.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And a great camera angle here. We can see our 2 leaders. That is Julie Yamolo from France and Fenella Langridge from Great Britain have opened up a pretty sizable gap on the rest of our female chasers.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, as always, those first sort of 400 meters are pretty hectic. What's your tactic in the swim? Is it sort of, do you go out at that sprint speed, or is it sort of more build into it? You know,
I think for the full distance racing, anytime you toe the line at an Ironman, there's always a certain degree of adrenaline, and I think
that's one way of calling it.
Well, dread,
fear, nerves.
Yeah.
Portaloo stops.
Questioning your life's choices. No, seriously, folks, Ironman racing is great. I think what I'm saying is with that adrenaline comes that early speed, so that if you do try to gun it on top of all the adrenaline, I think you can put yourself in a bit of bother by the 200-meter mark, which certainly when you're dealing with a race that's 140.6 miles long, you certainly don't need to be getting lactic in the first 200 meters. So taking that first 200 to 500 meters strong, but not spinning your wheels and really trying to build into it, I think is a smart strategy. That being said, if you're on a line, and all of these women, hey, these are smart athletes. They have studied this start list. They knew who was who. I would bet that Fenella, again, hard to know because Julia Molo doesn't have any full distance race results in her pro career. But to your point, looking at her 70.3 results, we know she's a strong swimmer. So I think Fenella will have known that she may have had company. But my point is, these women study the start list. They know who they want to swim with. Ideally, they know who they may want to get away from. And they probably will develop a strategy around that to try to get on someone's feet, to try to get away from someone. If you know that you're swimming against someone with great get-out speed, then you might want to try to go with them. If you're swimming with someone who's a more gradual starter, the pace can be more composed at the start. But there's a strategy combined with, based on racing the people in the race, in addition to racing your own race.
That's, yeah, you're right. And I'd also think that, like, as the two at the front and Julie that we're looking at the moment, like, as a background in swimming, they have that ability to change pace. So they have probably that faster gear at the beginning, whereas probably somebody who isn't a natural swimmer probably doesn't want to go fast out and, like you said, build into it. Conversely, saying that, Lauren Brandon, who we know is, you know, a friend but one of the best swimmers in the sport, she has a very gradual build into the race, and she does build into it rather than that.
Yeah. She does not have get out speed.
No, she doesn't.
And in fact, you know, people will watch the start of a race and be like, well, I thought she was supposed to be a great swimmer, and it's not really until that 500-meter mark where all of a sudden that sort of thrireshold pace kicks in, and
she just keeps going.
She's just gone, and she can hold it for incredible amounts of time. Fenella Langridge swam with Lauren Brandon at Ironman Texas, so we know that she's got the goods in the water as well. But both of these women doing a great job of it. We see a little texture on the water, as again we saw. The weather's been a little bit unsettled, a little bit of wind. Some storms came through earlier in the week. Again, rain not expected today, but we can see with those little bumps on the water that they are fighting a little bit of a wind.
And just to put it into perspective for those of you who do have some swim knowledge behind you, we just get a nice pan back. Yeah, they've put a huge gap into the rest of the field. So Julie Yamolo, she swam a 4:29 400 and a 17:52 1500. Now, I know that the Olympic qualifying time for the 400 is 4:15 approximately. For the trials, that is for the US trials.
Just to put it, meters.
Long course meters, just to put it in perspective.
Of course, we don't know if those times are short course meters or long course.
I don't. I mean, and 15 seconds is a big gap. But just to try and, like, she is a legit swimmer, and these two are certainly pushing the pace. And when we got that angle back there, now that gap that didn't look like it was appearing at the beginning has quite exploded.
Yeah, I think they're looking at least 100 meters at this point. And again, we'll have to check that camera angle, but the athletes making their way around the outermost turn buoys before they head back in towards shore, so approaching the halfway point of the swim.
Yeah, that's right. So, and how much do you think they'll get? What would be a good, you know, when Fenella gets out the water into T1, what would she be hoping to? I mean, she won't probably know the gap, actually. It'll be the ones behind at that point.
Yeah, like, I think she's just looking to get out and get gone. You know, I think of her competitors, she's certainly probably got her eyes on you know, Els Visser, certainly Kat Matthews, definitely, and is going to want to use the strength of her swim, knowing that compared to those two women in particular, it's an asset for her, so she's going to want to leverage it. And we're here getting a good percentage of the way through this Aroka swim course, looking at our leader. That's Julie Yamolo from France, racing her first Ironman as a professional. She is giving a ride to Fenella Langridge, who is using those veteran skills to catch that free ride, catching the draft of Julie Yamolo. As we take a look at the coveted finisher medal that all of our athletes will long to get when they finally cross that finish line several hours from now. A lot of athletes out there for their first time. It's a pretty special medal to get, and I think even for our athletes who have been in several Ironman races, it's pretty special to get. Every finish line is special, as we see Fenella Langridge trying to say see you later to Julie Yamolo, and trying to make a move now. You know, there's not necessarily a significant strategic advantage when athletes are swimming this close to being the first out of the water, but certainly there could be some benefits if you've got swim partners. We'll offer a swim bonus for first out of the water. I don't think the bragging rights necessarily mean anything with everything else that's online today. But, you know, a strategy for Fenella that says, hey, I'm feeling pretty good. I got other women that I'm worried about who are coming up from behind, and let's get on and get going and see if I can't get another couple of seconds through transition on the chasers behind.
Yeah, That's it. And then just looking at that close-up we had, and you can see it now when the camera's panned back, two very different stroke styles there. So Fenella Langridge is quite a high turnover rate, quite a choppy stroke. Julie, a little bit more longer stroke. This is me, obviously, as a swim expert here. But yeah, a little bit stronger, a little bit slower turnover. Both very effective. And both moving. But Fenella just looks like it's harder work, but that's just because the stroke rate's higher.
Well, certainly it's a higher stroke rate, and some would argue that when the conditions are choppy, that higher stroke rate is actually more effective because the water that you're grabbing isn't as pristine. Julia Molo, classic example, pool trained swimmer. The water in a pool, nice and calm. You've got lane lines to keep it that way between the lanes. So that long, lovely stroke, you're grabbing sort of firm water. When the water is more turbulent, and today is not extremely turbulent conditions, but there's a little bit of bump on that water. Fighting through chop or choppier swims, you're not grabbing as pristine water, so you're almost rewarded for taking more strokes per minute. So you're taking less efficient strokes because you're spinning your arms at a more rapid rate, but you're getting more of them in through less perfect water. So, but it also is what you're used to and what you're comfortable with, and things like arm length make a difference in that regard. Also of note, Julia Molo breathing almost exclusively to the right and almost every stroke. Occasionally she'll breathe every 4, but and Fenella alternate breathing pretty consistently throughout the entire Roka swim.
Yeah, that's right. And also, I mean, it could have been that Fenella upped her her turnover
Tempo
rate to get ahead and to make that move past Julie. Julie's now sort of trying to move back up onto the hip. So yeah, that could have been another reason. I did laugh when you talked about the pool swimming being nice and pristine. It never feels like that for me. Always feels like I'm in a washing machine. and the thing is with swimming, that it's such a technical element, and it's so much about feel of the water as well. It's such a hard thing to sort of learn and teach.
Well, and that's why if you are an adult onset swimmer, the frequency of your swims, I think, matters more than the duration. While it's inconvenient to gather your belongings, drive to the pool, get in the lane, et cetera, these women having a little tit for tat at it here in the Roka swim course, neither one wanting to give an inch. Some frothy swimming out there.
How many times a week do you think a pro like Fenella and Julie, as good swimmers, would be swimming?
You know, there's two schools of thought. I remember back to the great Andy Potts, a wonderful swimmer, collegiate swimmer, swam for the University of Michigan back in the U.S., would lead out lots of Ironman and 70.3 swims back in the day. And he took the mindset that he had been swimming, 18 to 20 hours a week since he was 10 years old. That more time in the pool at that point, he needed to maintain some of the swim feel, but the fitness could be developed better. His attention could be better spent on the other two sports. That being said, it's also a stress-free way to build that aerobic engine without the impact like running presents, et cetera, et cetera. I would say most high-level swimmers are swimming 5 to 6 days a week, anywhere in the 20 to 25,000 meters per week for a top-level pro. But I guess my point is that if you are an adult onset swimmer, getting to the pool more frequently, you don't necessarily have to churn out a 5K swim every time, but touching the water almost every day, even if it's for 15 and 20 minutes, swim a little bit easy, do a couple of drills, feel the water, and get out and get on, I think is a helpful way because it is so technique oriented.
Yeah, and as we see, Julie Yamolo has moved back in front of Fenella. So I'm not sure if these two are communicating as such and sort of taking it turns to take that lead, and so the other person sits on the feet and gets the drag, or if they're just having sort of a bit of a battle out there, and neither one wants to give up that first out the water spot or that lead in the race.
It could be. I think Fenella definitely tried to make a strategic move when they made the turn and heading for home to see if she could distance herself from Julie, take advantage of the fact that she's slightly fresher, having sat on the feet for quite that long. I think if I'm Fenella and Julie goes back by, at this point you're kind of like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Although there are potential swim partner bonuses to be mindful of, but I don't think that that's top of Fenella's mind, certainly. And we know from our catch-up in A Fighting Chance with Julia Molo, she certainly has other goals outside of the swim. Yeah, it's a head scratcher for me. I think if I was Julie in that situation, and Fenella came around, I might say, okay, yeah, you take a turn now, and would have been happy to sit on her feet, but she's got a different agenda. We'll have to find out after the race.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll see where they get up to. So we're at the female women in the Ironman European Championships in Hamburg, Germany. The women are about 38, coming up to 38 and a half minutes through the swim. So we're probably, I'm guessing, just over 10 minutes away from them being out of the water. And that's based on the swim course record, which was set by who we've been talking about earlier, Lauren Brandon, who swam a 47.45. So I don't think these two are quite Lauren, but who knows? It's a bit hard to tell at the moment how far they are back to T2. They haven't gone back under the Kennedy Brooker Bridge yet. So yeah, still a little way to go, probably about 10 minutes or just over 10 minutes, I'd be guessing.
Yeah, I'm guessing about 800 meters to go, perhaps. But yeah, a decent amount of swimming left, but they can start to maybe turn their minds towards the bike. We'll see once the athletes exit the Roca swim course here. They go under the bridge on their way. So we are getting to it. Starting to think about the bike a little bit, changes that you might want to make. I mean, both of these women on camera here have a pretty strong, robust 6-speed kick. But if you're an athlete that doesn't kick that much, towards the end of the swim, you might want to think about bringing the legs into it a little bit just to get some blood flow back into the legs. We've been arm dominant now for 39 minutes. We want to get those legs ready to do some work. So as you approach the end of the swim, a good idea to sort of bring the legs into it a little bit. And then just in your mind, start thinking a little bit about your to-do list in transition. Very, very long run for these athletes through transition here today, so we have that to look forward to as well.
That's right. I forgot that Ironman Hamburg does have one of the longest transitions on the sport. So we just saw the athletes there. That was them going under the Kennedy Brooker. So they are now entering back into the inner Alster, or the Binnen Alster.
See?
I should say, in my, again, our German. So it is a huge bridge. It's got like a double...
Well, it's
two-part bridge, so yeah, either lane, so that's why they're still going under the bridge. So they are on their way back to the swim exit. And then they do have that long run through transition, because it's all kind of like, it's almost like every bike is individually laid out next to each other to make the length of the run.
Yeah, it's pretty, and we see right now our cameraman. See, I love our camera guys. They're hearing us. They're going to take us through the exit ramp, and the athletes will make a hard left-hand turn through that Roca signage there and make their way down the very, very, very... Well, I'm just going to keep saying very until he gets to the bike racks. But it's a long run.
I'm just glad he turned around, because I was worried he was going to fall over backwards and we're just going to get, yeah. But it is, should we carry on? Very, 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 very long. They haven't even got to kind of their bags and stuff like this. So I'm not actually sure how long this transition is. I'm sure one of our factoid people can get onto that. Well, because we were talking about, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Mallorca having a very long transition, but I think this one has it beat. Well, I mean, this is long for transition. I would challenge with Ironman Wales, which is about a kilometre run from the beach to transition.
And includes 18,000 steps.
And includes 18,000 steps. So here you see their transition bags that the athletes are going to pick up. The red and the blue bags for the run and the bike and the run, and then they still carry on running. And now we hit the bikes, and I would imagine the pro bikes are at the far end.
Yes.
So they're pretty much going back down the swim course here.
All the way to the bridge.
Other end. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
so
I think I believe they bike out on that same road as the Kennedy Bridge. So it's yeah, it's a long way. So the point being, I mean, and this is great footage of exactly how long, because we've been talking for quite some time now, and they
Still
are
not
still
there.
going
Still
through transition. But this does benefit some of the runners in the field. I mean, this is going to be a four minutes worth of running as they make their way through transition. So some of your faster runners, if you've given up, 3 or 4 minutes in the swim, you can easily make back at least 30, 45 seconds through transition.
Yeah, that's it. And then we get to the bike, and then they are back out on the full gas bike course. So yeah, a huge, huge, huge transition there. And we will come back to you with the length of that. One of our factoids is on the case, and I'm sure they're gonna come up with the goods shortly, as we see back to our leading two females, Julie Yemolo, from France, in her first full distance as a pro. And then sitting just behind her is Fenella Langridge. The interesting thing about Julie, I think, or say Julie, I should say in my...
Is that she has a border collie?
It is that she has a border collie, but I was going to bring that in the vi later on, but let's go to dogs. No. I think because she's French, she will be very keen to qualify for the Ironman, the VinFast Ironman World Championships in Nice, and also because Nice was her very first Ironman 70.3 triathlon.
Sure.
And she... so yeah, I think that might be a big goal for her today as well.
Well, she said to us in our conversations pre-race that one of her favorite sort of memories was seeing her entire family on the run course when she raced the 70.3 in Provence. She lives very, very close to that race site. So I think she will have a similar kind of support were she to qualify for the World Championship in Nice on September 22nd. Again, 6 slots available for our professional females, and a number of them already pre-qualified. So a lot of our athletes have that to look forward to today.
Yeah, so pre-qualified for VinFast Ironman World Championships in Nice is Kat Matthews. Fenella has already qualified. Maya Stage-Nilsson has qualified. Els Visser has qualified. And also Erin Schenkels from Canada has qualified. So 5 out of this field have qualified already, and there's 6 slots. So that's huge opportunity for a lot of the women in this race.
One of the goals for a lot of them to keep in mind, because every athlete will start a race with a long list of goals and things, how they want to execute the race, et cetera, et cetera. And it's important to keep all of those goals in mind. Some of them you have to let go depending on how the race goes, but something like that is going to be in the back of the athlete's mind throughout the entire day.
And some of them, by the end of the day, you move the goalposts and
Yes.
decide that your goal was something different when you get to the finish line at the end of the day, if you get to the finish line. We hope all of our pro women get to the finish line, and also all of our age group athletes who will be in the water already. We didn't see the age group athletes start, but they started a little bit behind our pro women. Pro women only race today, which is always super exciting because the women get the chance to cross that finish line first. So I always love to see that.
No, it's a great opportunity to showcase the great women in our sport and have them have their day out on the race course. And nice that here in Hamburg they have a 15-minute gap back to the age group athletes, so they will have a nice, clean, fair bike course for them as well.
So yeah, and we are now coming through to the final few hundred meters in the Roca swim course. Julie Yemolo leading the way. She looks like she's about to lose her swim cap, but hopefully the goggles are gonna keep it on.
That's my other pro tip. No conditioner the last 3 days going into a race.
Is that right?
Makes your head less slippery.
I did not know that.
You go sans conditioner.
For the 3 days.
You heard it here first. Yep. You stop using conditioner on about Wednesday of race week.
Every day is a school day. I never knew that.
Ha.
So this is interesting as well.
How else do you think I keep my swim cap on my head every day?
Well, there we go.
Very dry, brittle hair.
Yeah. Goggles. I was going to say, because we've had this conversation, you talk about the headbands that athletes are wearing. I'm going to say Caitlin Clark, even though we've probably got no Americans watching, but she wears this headband, and you do it as well, Didi. It's a very thin headband that just keeps your hair off your face. I wear one of those, and it just pops off the back of my head because I've got a teeny head. So, but I don't have a huge issue with my swim cap, fortunately. But anyway, I did not know that. No conditioner for 3 days. There we go. You heard it here first, kids.
And of course, we talk about the popularity of triathlon here in the city of Hamburg. It was a long, long time ago. It was called the Holston City Man Tri. It was popular amongst the Hamburgers, the residents, with over 10,000 locals racing. It eventually became the ITU / now we call the WTCS Hamburg. And that race alone, over 250,000 spectators come out to watch and cheer. So this is a city that knows and loves the sport of triathlon. As we take a look at our women's leaders, it is Julie Yamolo out of France in a time of 50:38, followed by Fenella Langridge from Great Britain, time 50:40. And they are off and running, and Julie Yamolo leads Fenella Langridge down the very, very long, very long transition run.
Yeah, and there we go. We've got the our swim time presented by the Wahoo Element rival, Julie Yamolo from France, 50 minutes 38 seconds for our Roka 3.8K swim. I love how Germany is a huge triathlon nation, and yeah, as you said there with our bit of history info, Hamburg World Triathlon is one of the most popular in the series. I just love how we call the residents of Hamburg hamburgers.
I think they refer to themselves
I think they do.
Well.
Yeah, that's and it is. We will come on to it. It is where, well, there'll be an argument here. It is where hamburgers were originally, or the meat was originally made.
Different. It's different.
Anyway,
we added the bun.
The Americans added the bun, and that's where I was going to say there was going to be some
love our
controversy.
carbs.
But the Hamburg, they designed the meat patty, if you want to call it that. So this is Julie Yamolo. She's picked up her bag, Fenella Langridge right behind her. So they're blue transition bags for the bike as they are stripping off their wetsuits, and then they will leave their bags by transition. And here we go, the chase pack. So they're actually they're going to be a good 4 or 5 minutes behind.
Yeah, at least. That orange cap, again, we are speculating. We have Maya Stodge-Nielsen in the orange cap.
5 of them there.
Is likely, yeah, a group of 5. As and again, Fenella Langridge is going to be gone. She's going to be out on her bike before the women even get out of the water, and that is just how she wants it. She wants to get out and get gone. Amongst her likely chasers of, we're guessing, Kat Matthews, certainly Maya Stodge-Nielsen in that group. I'm guessing that the American Jackie Herring will be in that chase group as well.
So, and also just a little bit of an update, but I think we might get one of the team to confirm that. I've heard that Caroline Learider is out of the race. She apparently wasn't feeling too well yesterday, but we will try and confirm that as we see this chase pack out the water, and we'll be able to see who it is. I think we're thinking it's Maya, but let's see if we're right on our spotting on caps. I think we did well on our Smarties today. Skittles caps.
I was going to say, what are Smarties? It is Maya Stodge-Nielsen in third. Her time unofficially 53:26, so that's 2 minutes 48 seconds. Kat Matthews in there. Sabrina Roth also in there, and Jackie Herring amongst the chasers there. Jackie Herring, the last one there, you see her peeling her wetsuit in that pink kit. That is Jackie Herring, the American who is racing her first Ironman since 2015. And Sid, you and I talked a little bit pre-race about how I'm so excited to see Jackie Herring race because she's a completely different athlete than she was in 2015. She took a break from full distance racing while she raised her family. She's got 2 young kids at home, and now they're school aged. She's able to dedicate a little bit more time, put the volume in that is required for Ironman racing. But when you look at some of her predicted times and some of her historical splits for swim, bike, and run, the evolution of Jackie Herring as an athlete, she's going to put out times across this full distance race that she never dreamed of back in 2015, I suspect.
Yeah, that's right. And she had a great career, as an Ironman athlete back there. She did 16 Ironmans or 15 finishes, 1 DNF. But as you said, that was 9 years ago. Yeah. And the hiatus is because she's had 2 kids since then. So she's a mum. The kids are now at school. She said that being a mum and doing Ironman triathlon is hard enough, so you can only do 1 at a time. now the kids are at school, so she's brought back in Ironman. But it was also because she's excited about the Ironman Pro Series. But yeah, I think
there's Kat Matthews. Yep.
I think we're going to see a completely different athlete out there. So it's quite exciting to see what Jackie Herring's going to do.
Now, the race dynamic that's developing here, we've got sort of a lone wolf in Fenella Langridge, who is off the front. Certainly, Julia Molo is in there somewhere, but I think Fenella's going to get out and get gone. But we have a tremendous chase pack in Maya Stage-Nielsen, Kat Matthews, Jackie Herring, all going to be working together to reel in our women's leader.
Yeah, I'd say the only two that may be a little bit of surprise that they're not in that swim pack, not fully sure, would be Daniela Bleimel and also Sarah Svenks. Two very good powerhouses. Maybe not. I think they probably would have had a good swim if they were in that pack, but they would be the two that I would say are missing at the moment, as we see Maya Stage-Nielsen running through transition with Kat Matthews right behind. Very similar to Texas. Those two came out the water in Texas together. They rode very well together. They did both also get penalties in Texas, so I'm sure they'll be very aware of that. Kat says she's over the penalty, but then brought it up at the press conference, so maybe there's a bit of fire burning.
Over it, hashtag not over it.
Yeah.
Our top 10 are officially out of the water now. We've got Laura Jansen in 8th place. She is 5 minutes back. She came out of the water with Elisabetta Curadori, who is 5:04 back, and Sarah Svensk, who is 5:07 back. So another trio given chase in our sort of second chase pack, we'll say.
Yeah, and the other athlete that I forgot to mention that would be missing or looking for to be out the swim now is Els Visser. Again, super strong on the bike. So Daniela Bleimel, we've not seen yet, and Els Visser, they would be our two kind of favorites that we're looking for. But we're going to come right back to the full gas bike course after this break. Welcome back to the Ironman European Championships in Hamburg. We are now out onto the full gas bike course. This is 2 laps. It's 178 kilometers.
Brand new bike course this year.
Brand new bike course, that's right, as well. Still taking in all the city centre sites as well as some of the German countryside of Hamburg. So we're with our two race leaders. These two were together in the swim. So that is Fenella Langridge from Great Britain out in front, and Julie Yumolo from France sitting just behind her. These two swam together and had, what was it? Oh, I thought it was more than that, but yeah, 2 minutes 48 over the chasers out of the swim.
And we've got a couple of strategic chase packs that are developing in our first chase pack. Key players, Maya Stage-Nielsen with Kat Matthews and Jackie Herring. And then we've got Sarah Svensk back at 5 minutes back. She's riding alongside Elisabetta Curadori and Laura Jansen. And then out of the water now, a bit back, Els Visser, but she is with Daniela Bleimel, so those two could be a force to be reckoned with, both extremely strong cyclists. So I think they'll probably get together and do some work to try to get themselves back to the front of this race.
Yeah, I think Els will be a little bit disappointed with that swim, and I think Daniela as well. But I think the fact that the two of them are together, they're really strong on the bike, and I think they will then work together to reel in the chase, the women up ahead, so too these two women. Gosh, I can't get my words out already.
Actually, this is Daniela Bleimel. I did some trying to approximate what some of these gaps may be. Of course, we can never quite do that, but Daniela Bleimel, one of her best swims was at 56:53, so she's right in line with that. So yeah, I actually think that it's probably a good swim. She's just up against a field of strong swimmers.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think but her with then Els on the bike will be super strong.
And we take a look at our transition times brought to you by Morton, our fastest transition. Again, our runners, Els Visser at 3:31, Fenella Langridge at 3:35, and Laura Jansen at 3:36. So again, those transitions matter, and you can pick up valuable time, particularly with a transition like this that is so very long.
Yeah, they're quite unusually long transition time. So if anyone's looking at that and thinking, what the hell were they doing in transition, having a sit down, having a hamburger, exactly, that is exactly what they're doing. It is because transition in Hamburg does go on forever as well. So yeah, just confirming that Caroline Leerrider is out of the race. Unfortunately, she didn't actually start this morning. She was sick yesterday, I think, so she is a non-starter today, but we are with our leaders, Fenella Langridge and Julie Yemolo from France, as they are going through city center Hamburg in Germany.
Yeah, looking through best times and swim splits, I actually think both Els and Daniela Bleimel had pretty strong swims, historically speaking. But again, when you're up against it with the stakes this high, they're going to have to get to work to reel in the front of this race as we check in with Maya Stage-Nielsen.
That's right, and just looking back, I need to go back and have a look at the times in Texas to see what the gap was from Fenella back to the likes of Kat and Maya. You know, 2 minutes or 3 minutes they are at the moment down off that lead, which I don't think is very much really for Kat and Maya. I think they'll be pretty happy with that. They've also, sitting with Jackie Herring, that's a really strong bike group, and I think that's a super position for Jackie Herring to be in as well. Yep. In her first race back after 9 years in a full distance. So I think she'll be pretty stoked to just hopefully sit behind Maya and Kat, let them do the work. And Maya and Kat rode together in Texas, so they'll be pretty used to each other and hopefully can work together again. Obviously all legally at a 12-meter draft range. We'll comment on the Race Ranger unit a little bit later on the bike. You can see there's a little unit that's sticking out underneath Maya's water bottle cage, which is the Race Ranger unit, and that helps the athletes know whether they are 12 meters or hopefully further behind the athlete in front. But we'll come on to that later as we just get this. Yeah, good picture. That was Maya, and then back to Julie Yemolo.
Yeah, Julie Yemolo making a statement here. I thought that Fenella would have gapped her by now, but as we heard in her A Fighting Chance segment, she put in a lot of good work on the bike over the winter and certainly has her sights set on one of those 6 qualifying slots that are up for grabs.
Yeah, as we said, being French, she'll very much want to get a slot for the VinFast Ironman World Championships in Nice. 22nd of September, I think, is the date.
Yes.
Is that right? How do we recognize that date? I think that's somebody's birthday, isn't it? 22nd of September, Didi Griesbauer, if everyone wants to just log that one down. It's not just the VinFast Ironman World Championships. But yeah, Julie Yemolo, her first full distance race, and she is, I mean, obviously early days on the bike as well. You know, they've got 2 laps and 178 kilometers as we, fortunately, keep your heads up as
as always. I mean, this is the second largest city in Germany, so
that surprised me.
Through the city, it is always heads up riding. Not only because it's a major metropolitan area, and while our operations team, you know, roads are closed, you never know who's going to pop out and do something silly. But also road quality. You can see there's quite a bit of patches on the road. I remember back to, I think it was last year, Laura Philp actually launched her nutrition through this city section. So road quality is a little tougher in major metropolitan areas, but I tell you what, the athletes have ahead of them once they get out onto those country roads. It's going to be a quick bike course, but things a little bit more technical here through the city center, but they'll be through it in just a moment's time.
I was going to say it's quite unusual because Germany is renowned for having super fast, smooth roads, but obviously we are going through a city center. The other thing that did surprise me that you said Hamburg is Germany's second largest city. I did not expect that.
Wikipedia.
I know. I wrote that down as well. I had that as my note, but that did surprise me. So which is the biggest? I'm guessing it's Berlin. Frankfurt or Berlin. And then Munich, but I guess Munich was a lot smaller. It's got to be Frankfurt, smaller. Yeah. So Frankfurt, must be that sounds a little bit more like the biggest city. Our factoids are on the case. We didn't actually we might be able to, oh, there we go. I was just about to say we didn't get our transition fact, but it is. Transition itself is 500 meters. from the swim exit is about 200 meters, so about 700 meters in total is our transition zone, as we are out on the full gas bike course, and we will come back to you right after this break.
And back to the action here as we're watching our women's chasers make their way through the city. High turnover there of that athlete. I'm trying to get a bib number there.
I kind of want to say to her, move up a gear.
Yeah.
Change gears. You look like
some
you're
people
spinning.
Actually like to ride like that.
They do. Yeah,
so
not
through the first 10 kilometers, that the trio of chasers of Maya Stage-Nielsen, Kat Matthews, and Jackie Herring have actually lost 10 seconds to Fenella Langridge and Julie Imolo.
Yeah, which is interesting, but it is a very sort of technical section. So
athletes sorting themselves out. Yeah.
Yeah, navigating through. I don't think we read anything into that at the moment. I'm trying to get a bib number on that. I'm wanting to say it's Kirsten Leopold, but it isn't, because I don't think we're further up the field than that. But it looks a little bit like her as we go back to the two leading females, and Julie Yomolo is hanging with Fenella. Obviously, it is still early days. They are still in the city centre section of the bike course.
Looking at that orange light on Fenella Langridge's bike is a good segue, perhaps, for us, Sid, to talk a little bit about Race Ranger.
Yeah, that's right. So the athletes in the Ironman Pro Series are using the Race Ranger units on the bike. These are units that sit on the front of the athlete's bike and on the rear, and they show a light. So we're looking at behind Julie, so she'll be looking at Fenella's bike, and because there is no light showing, that means that Julie is beyond 7 meters behind Fenella. There's a drafting limit of 12 meters, and if that athlete encroaches that, so now we can see this athlete overtaking, and you can see the light of the rider on the right hand side was flashing. That's because that athlete overtaking entered that 12-meter draft zone, and once she's gone past, the lights reset. You can see again the light just went through a red and then a blue and an orange and then onto no light. So that's the athlete going from a 12-meter. So if the athlete is 12 to 14 meters, a blue light will show. If it's a solid orange light, it is 14 to 17, and no light is beyond 17 meters. But obviously, if it is red flashing, that means the athlete behind is within the 12-meter draft zone and they need to make a pass. So it's a fantastic device. Obviously, penalties will still be given by the technical officials, as technical officials still need to be on the road looking and assessing the dynamics of the race and what is happening with the athletes. But these lights is a great initiative for the athletes to be able to see where they are.
To take ownership of the draft zone and give them specific knowledge without question. We're no longer looking at lines in the center of the road or reflectors in the roadways that we had used as guides for years and years and years. This technology definitively gives you those ranges, and it's a tool for the athletes to self-enforce the drafting. It's also helpful for the officials in that the officials can monitor a larger group of athletes. So if there were a pack of 12 athletes, say, it's hard for the official, can't be in between each of the 12 athletes in a line, so they can't see specifically the distances, but they can certainly see flashing lights on the back of bikes and address situations. But to your point, the penalty needs to be addressed by the technical official on the course.
That's right, and we can see now both these athletes have, so that's Kat Matthews and Maya, have got orange lights on, which means that Maya is sitting between 14 and 17 meters behind Kat, and Jackie is 14 to 17 meters behind Maya. So that's a good position to be in. They don't want to get any closer and go into that blue light and obviously the red light. As we've said, Maya and Kat both were awarded penalties in Texas, so I know those two are going to be very aware of that this time.
It's also a great tool if you are in a long line to know if you can see the light 2 bikes ahead of you, to know whether or not you can make a pass and then legally slot in. You cannot slot in if the athletes are riding draft legal, but if that light is orange, it would imply that there is room for you to make a pass and move ahead. I think on our last shot from the rear of this trio that included Jackie Herring, I believe Jackie Herring was getting gapped. Maybe our cameraman can go back. I assume she has to be because the moto is now driving where Jackie would be riding. So it looks like Jackie Herring has been disposed of off the back. Here we have Jackie Herring. Is that That's not.
That's not Jackie. I don't think that's Jackie, but you would hope so from where that motorbike was positioned that, yeah, it certainly wasn't between Maya and Jackie. The other thing I like about Race Ranger and what they can do, and I think some of the athletes in some races are finding this out, they obviously collect the data from the race, and it summarizes into how long the athlete spent in the draft zone.
Make it public, make it public.
How many times that athlete entered and came out of the draft zone.
Cheater, pumpkin eater.
And cumulative time. And some races are now taking that information and sending it anonymously, obviously at the moment, to the athletes just to say, hey, heads up, you spent X number of minutes in the draft zone, or you went in and out this number of time, compared to what the average was for the race. Is it, you know, good, bad? And it just, and there is then, yes, the opportunity that we could take this further and then make it public so that everyone can see, and as you see, this is Fenella Langridge and Julie Yamolo. They are now coming. There is a little bit of an out and back section whilst they are still within the city centre, so they're coming back along the Ulster, I think it is, before they head out into the countryside, and you can see the athletes that are coming the other direction on the other side of those yellow cones. That's the athletes that are going, coming out from T1. So there'll be the first chance that Fenella and Julie Yamolo get a chance to see Kat, Maya, and Jackie, if she's still with there. But from where that motorbike is, I would hope, or I would imagine Jackie is not there.
Yeah, they had gone around a corner and it looked like Jackie was a little bit off the back there, and certainly with Kat Matthews at the front driving the pace, it would not be surprised if that pace was pretty solid. So certainly Maya Stage-Nielsen taking advantage of that and matching the pace, but maybe just a little too rich for Jackie Herring. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to get an update on the likes of a charging Els Visser and Daniela Blymel as well. Will those superstars on the bike be able to reel in the front of their race on the full gas bike course as we are getting underway on the bike here in Hamburg? We'll be back. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Ironman European Championship Hamburg. We have just started the full gas bike course. Our two lead females are Fenella Langridge, followed by Julie Yamolo. There's a chase group that includes Maya Stage-Nielsen and Kat Matthews. Jackie Herring had been dropped from that group and just passed by Sabrina Roth before that break.
And on screen now we have F28, which is Hannah Arlem from Germany. She is sitting a little bit further down, coming out the water, and looks to be in no man's land, riding on her own at this bit.
Yep, just navigating some of the turns through the city center before we make our way onto the more rural roads in the countryside. This is a very flat and very, very fast bike course. We're going to see some amazing bike splits from these women today. These women in pursuit, of course, of victory, but also in pursuit of valuable points in the Ironman Pro Series. It's 5,000 points up for grabs today, in addition to $87,500 in prize money, as well as 6 qualifying slots to the Ironman World Championship in Nice, France.
That's right, and we saw then that we had that split for Hannah Arlem. She's 13 minutes off the lead as we go back to our leading duo. Julie Yamolo is sitting in second place currently, just behind Fenella Langridge. Now, is it too early for fun factoids?
No, it's never too
early.
Right,
okay. Hamburg. Hamburg's official name is actually the Free and get my German pronunciation right, Hanseatic city of Hamburg, a name which dates back to medieval times when the city played a crucial role in the economic and trade networks of Northern Europe, significantly shaping its history and architecture. Today, the city-state is one of 16 in Germany and remains one of the wealthiest and most influential cities in the country. I think Hamburg was also, and probably for a reason of that, was also known as the gateway to the world.
It's a key port. Yeah, it's a key port, and has been for quite some time. Oh, Jackie Herring is with that group still. So here we look at Jackie Herring. She is wearing bib number 6. She currently sits 8th in the Ironman Pro Series ranking. She's 39 years old, made the trip from the United States over here to Hamburg to take on some of these European powerhouses. Her first Ironman since 2015. She's had 4 Ironman podiums between 2011 and 2013, but that was, I mean, that's ancient history. As we were discussing, I mean, she is an entirely different athlete and has made strides, leaps and bounds in her bike strength and in her running during the time, the years that she's been raising her young kids. Her kids are still young. They're grammar school aged kids, but they're in school now. And so she's taking a bite of this full distance apple once again and seeing where all that 70.3 speed will land her now at the Ironman distance. Yeah,
I'm really excited to see what Jackie's run is like. She's one of the better runners over the half distance triathlon. And this is bib, no, we just got on screen now, F18.
That's Stephanie Wunderlich.
Thank you. There we go, Stephanie Wunderlich. So our first time seeing this German athlete. Now, she's got an interesting story because this is her first year as a pro, but she's actually aged 40. She won her age group in Lahti at the 70.3 age group world champs last year, and then decided to take her pro license. So yeah, first year pro at the age of 40. Age is just a number, not a number.
No, it's not.
It's not. She also, like Jackie, has 3 kids, yep. 11, 8, and 2. And I know from reading up one of her facts was she was very proud of that race in Lahti and being first in her age group, especially because she says she had a stress fracture within 10 kilometers. Now, I do not recommend doing that at home, kids. Do not race with a stress fracture. Do not probably push through. However, Stephanie Wunderlich did and did finish first in her age group and then took her pro card, and she is racing here today at IRONMAN European Championships Hamburg.
If we go back to her, I want to comment on her bike position because it's pretty unique. Oh, dread. No. We're looking at Kat Matthews, who is having a problem with her aero bottle. This is the BTA bottle, we call it, between the arms. She's trying to peel some tape off of it, it looks like. This is terrible, terrible news for Kat. I mean, it's not game over. I mean, there's a lot of racing still to go, but it looks like it's come clear off.
I'm assuming it's come off, and at this point, I would probably just attach it and throw it away. Although it is very on early. I think that's what she's doing now. She's trying to get rid of the tape.
Well, so here's her dilemma. She's not in an aid station, so she's not able to
discard
it. She also is not able to chuck it down the front of her kit. That is an update to the rules or a clarification of the rules. We saw a lot of athletes in the 2023 season using water bottles down the front of their kits as a convenient storage place, perhaps, but also wind tunnel data suggesting that it is faster. But she is not allowed to put it down the front of her kit. She is able to put it down the back of her kit. Right now, it looks like she has it.
Not sure where it's gone.
It's
there. It's in her hand. Okay. So no, it's in her hand. She's put the tape. There she goes. She's going. Oh no, I thought she was going to find that garbage can.
I thought she was going to go to the garbage can.
Which I think you'd be able to do. She's put the tape down her top. She's going to hold it as long as she can till she can get rid of it. Disappointing. Not the end of the world. It's still a long day to go. Kat has come back from setbacks on the bike before, so I'm sure she can. I'm sure for Kat it'll just add fuel to the fire. Now I would think she could probably put it down her top for now to carry it.
She cannot
until she throw it, but
she
can
put it down. She can put it down the back.
She can put it down the back. That's true.
It actually specifically came up in a rules briefing that if you miss, I raised the hypothetical specifically. If you're at an aid station and you miss the last chance drop zone for littering, are you able to ride with a bottle temporarily until you can dispose of it? And the answer was definitively no. You can put it in a back pocket. You could put it down the back. She could slide it while she was standing there. She could have slid it up the leg of her pants, but she cannot put it down the front even temporarily, even if it's to avoid littering. So she's gonna hold it apparently in her hand, and we'll see what the time penalty is. We've got quite a ways before our next timing mat, so we won't know necessarily that impact as we come back to the front of the race.
But we are getting, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, we're getting some good updates of all the field, all the females in the Ironman European Championships in Hamburg. So you can see all the splits. We can see Els Visser has moved up into 9th place. Sarah Sphinx now in that top 10. Danielle Bleimel moving up as well. And we will come back with the rest of the splits and the update from the women's field after this break.
We are back to the action here at the Ironman European Championship Hamburg. And if you were with us right before the break, we were talking about millionaires and billionaires and joking a little bit about the triathletes going out after the race to go find one.
I'm going out. I'm leaving you in the studio for the rest of the day.
For me, it was a great opportunity to talk about how triathletes are very quickly becoming millionaires. Maybe not billionaires yet, but let's talk about the total pro prize purse money breakdown for the Ironman Pro Series. The event prize purse is $2.575 million US dollars. The year-end bonus pool is $1.7 million. In addition to that, the non-Ironman Pro Series event prize purses amount to $1.65 million US dollars. So if we add that up by my quick calculations, 2.575 million plus 1.7 million plus 1.65 million equals
a lot.
$5.925 million up for grabs for professional athletes racing Ironman, either Pro Series or not. That's a significant amount of money, which brings me back to my point. It's a great time to be a professional triathlete, and certainly every moment matters out there because every moment equals dollars.
Yeah, every second matters,
yes.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic time to be a pro at the moment, and the Pro Series, I mean, as we heard Jackie Herring, it was certainly one of the attractions and draws to bring her back to the full distance racing and just doing those 3 good Ironmans.
And we are back, and if you take a look at the bottom of your screen, not the ticker, but just above that, you will see our bike course profile and what makes today's full gas bike course one of the fastest on the circuit. You can see it is very flat. There are very few bumps along that course, and you can also see that our leaders now are through 28 miles past the 45-kilometer mark. So they are making headway, not quite to halfway, but getting there on this very flat, very fast course.
What we can't see, there is like a little bit of sort of elevation that we can see at sort of the start and end of the lap as they come back into town. Obviously, we don't know the depth of that compared to the rest of the course. It looks quite big as we're looking at it, but we know that was through the city centre, so I wouldn't imagine there was a huge amount of elevation, but I know I am about to be told how much elevation there is on this course. Obviously, the tracker underneath that is scrolling along the screen, that is our Ironman Pro Series men's standings at the moment. Obviously, today in Hamburg, it's the Ironman European Champs. It's the women-only race. The men's European Championships will be at Ironman Frankfurt, which is in August. On screen at the moment, in good vibes only, all the way, is British athlete Fenella Langridge. She is leading the way. Julie Yumolo was with her, or the two of them were together in this out of the swim, but Fenella has taken charge of this bike course and is leading the way, a position that she's very accustomed to, that's for sure, and sitting currently back in 3rd place now, the female on screen, Maya Stage Nielsen.
So this bike course elevation profile is a total of 300 meters, which is pretty darn flat. A couple of, I wouldn't even call them hills. I mean, up and over the bridges, maybe.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's over those 2,500 bridges,
yeah.
or it's the little
I don't think they go over all of the bridges.
little tiny speed bumps that they go over. That's
it amounts to that. But this is definitely a course that, tell me this, when you prepare for a race and you're going to race Hamburg, how do you prepare yourself differently than if you're going to race Ironman Lake Placid?
Which is, I'm sure TriDot would be able to give us our course information on Placid, but Placid is a very hilly course.
I know it in feet is about, I'm going to say 6,000 feet of elevation gain.
Yeah, so I think if you are training and preparing and you've chosen to race a course like Hamburg, which is very flat course, so you're training, in theory, lots of time on the TT bike, lots of time in the aero bars, just get accustomed to that real time trialing position and not much movement, as opposed to if you look at a Lake Placid course with sort of hills and rolling hills or some punchy climbs where you have a lot more movement of getting up out the saddle. You can get up off the bike and stand up as you're pedaling, and in your training you probably want to include some elevation in that, so you are gaining that height during training, whereas Hamburg is just, I would say, finding those flat roads of where you can around where you live and just getting used to holding that position for the duration. Also cornering, because it was quite technical through the city centre at the start.
Well, let me ask you a question. What if I live in a flat place and I'm trying to prepare? What if I live in Hamburg, but I'm trying to get ready for Ironman Lake Placid?
That is a fantastic question, Dee Dee. If you lived in Hamburg and were trying to get ready for Lake Placid, you could use the full gas bike program, where you can go and ride any of the Ironman courses out there. So you could go in and load up onto the full gas course profile into the system, sit on your bike trainer and get used to riding the profile of Ironman Lake Placid.
Welcome back to the action here at Ironman Hamburg, the European Championship for women. If you are looking for the men, they will be in Frankfurt in August. They are not here today. It's our pro women only, alongside our field of outstanding age groupers. Our women nearing the end of the first loop of this full gas bike course. But right before the break, we saw our chase pack of Maya Stage-Nielsen, Jackie Herring, Els Visser, Sarah Svensk, Daniela Blymel, and Kat Matthews go through an aid station. And there was obviously an accordion effect, but what we did see was Kat, the last one out of that aid station. And we had talked about Kat Matthews losing that very important bottle full of nutrients off her bike very, very early on. So now she is relying on the aid stations, which is less than ideal for a number of reasons. Number one, there are great products available. She's going to grab some Morton gels. She's going to grab some Precision Hydration and have everything she needs. But it may not be what she's used to training on, which is one downside. The other downside is that she has to be super careful through those aid stations to get what she needs. And it's going to slow her down. So it's just an added challenge when she's biking with a group that's that large, both in terms of inserting herself into a positive position so she can be one of the first ones through to get that first grab. And it's just an added challenge for Kat Matthews out on course today.
Yeah, totally right. And this is, the women now coming to the end of the first lap. This is with Fenella Language. Now, did you see her bottle on the front of her bike?
Yep.
She got a straw coming out of the side of it, which is interesting and a really great idea, because it means in that aero position, she doesn't have to move out of that aero position. She can just drink through that straw.
But you can't refill it.
But you can't refill it. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Like unless maybe that's a bottle that she is going to go through the personal needs section and perhaps reload that bottle with another straw. But definitely it has the benefit, right? She can use her...
Or she's got nutrition or hydration in that she is
using for the whole race.
So it could either be super concentrated.
Most athletes will do as Daniela Blymel is here and have a third-party BTA bottle. In her case, she's got 2 different straws, so she's got 2 fuel sources right there with that straw, which is super convenient. You don't have to break arrow.
One's vodka, one's Coke.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's what we have here in the booth. Down on course, maybe not yet for them. Maybe not till the run.
Not endorsing drinking, fans. Not endorsing drinking. Sorry, that's just.
But it is interesting that she has a traditional squeeze bottle with a straw drilled into it, because part of the benefit of those third-party bottles is that you can refill them on the fly through an aid station. They often have a flip cap that you flip up, squeeze the bottle into it, and reclose it. So interesting strategy from Fenella Langridge.
Yeah, and obviously now Fenella is coming back through the tunnel, so very close to the end of the lap. You can see the full gas bike course profile on the bottom has pretty much got her at that 56 mile, 90 kilometers, so we should be getting a split any moment now. Before we do, we'll do a fun fact time, or a little bit of a pub quiz. Didi, question for you. What is the most famous band in the world?
The Beatles.
I thought you were going to say, like, I don't know, Take
U2
That.
would be a close second.
Yeah, one of those. The Beatles, obviously, and famously, where did they come from?
Well, they're from the UK, but they made their mark here in Hamburg.
They did. They
in
are
the red light district.
They are, of course, from Liverpool, which is in the UK, the city of culture a few years ago. But I bet you didn't know that the famous four actually launched their career in Hamburg, performing across the city in various clubs between 1960 and 1962. These early performances in Hamburg helped the brand hone their skills, build a following, and set the stage for their later global success. Today, the Beatles connection in Hamburg is commemorated with the Beatles Platz, a public square featuring sculptures of the band members. And also, I mean, Hamburg is now known as a rock and roll city. So not only have you got millionaires and billionaires and 2,500 bridges and a caviar line on emergency dial, it's also rock and roll city of the Beatles.
There you go. And while we were discussing the Beatles, Fenella Langridge was going through the city center doing Fenella Langridge things, always taking the opportunity to engage the crowd. You get what you give, and she is giving energy to the crowd, and the crowd is loving it and giving it right back to her. So Fenella doing Fenella things.
That's right, and she is through that first lap. So bike split of 2 hours 12:08, but 3 hours 06:22 for the full race. So that's including the swim. But 2 hours 12:08 for the first lap on the bike. That is fast.
It's very fast. It is very, considering she is by herself,
yeah.
Especially. Not saying that she is, as we take a look at our VinFast performance analysis on the bike for Fenella Langridge, average speed over the last bit of 37.88 kilometers, and I'm gonna be honest, that's not that impressive because that's through the city.
Yeah.
She is traveling at a speed much higher than that, but super impressive. Like if you were a group like this group of 6 or 7, moving, like putting out a split of 2:12, like sure, impressive if you're organized and taking turns legally. At the front, that group is going to travel faster, but Fenella to do that all on her own is super impressive.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at Laura Phillips' bike course record. It is a slightly different bike course, yes. So you can't really judge, but we will because we got something to talk about. Laura Phillips' bike course record in 2022 was 4:31:14. Oh. So Fenella would be on record to beat that after the first lap.
We've got Sarah Svensk down. I believe that was said. They were coming into a 180-degree turn. Here we have it again. They got bunched up. It looks like she hit her brakes and slid sideways. That's Sarah Svensk down. It clipped Els Visser's back wheel.
Who did an amazing job at staying up.
Recovering. She put her foot down, got right back to it. But we're going to get an update on Sarah Svensk. That was really tough. Yeah. I just think they were carrying too much speed in that. Again, race dynamics in a big crowd. She's walking it off. Let's see if she gets back on her bike.
I think they didn't realize there was a sign we saw coming in that said 180-degree turn. I don't know whether they clocked that, but I don't think they realized quite how tight that corner was of being a complete 180 and on a slight downhill. So here we have Sarah. She's looks like lost the chain, sorting out. Looks physically like she's okay.
Shaken.
A bit shaken.
We've got a technical official just making sure physically she's okay, and obviously seeing if that bike is okay and she can get going.
And now back with Fenella, who is our lead. We've also, just to update, Giulio Iemolo is now through 90 kilometers, so 3:44 down. So I would imagine that chase group...
It's 15 seconds down.
There we go. They're about to swallow her up.
Yep. Yeah, they're all through that now. She's back up.
Great to see.
Yep, she's back up. That's going to be tough for her because now she is all on her own, fighting a group of minus Sarah Svens plus Julia Molo.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, that is our latest update.
But great to see Sarah back on the bike. Hopefully she's okay. Obviously, what we are seeing now on this course is they are having to navigate the age group athletes who are out on their first lap. We saw a little bit earlier as Fenella was just starting that second lap, just having to check the brakes a little bit to go around a corner. You know, it is really important that the athletes keep their heads up on this course, on this second lap now, as they are going to be passing age groupers. That could make sure that the second lap might be a little bit slower, and maybe, you know, because of that. But at the moment, Fenella, that 2:12 was certainly a super fast time for that first lap. So
what's interesting is it's not even the fastest time. Daniela Blymel threw in 2:09 because she was further back out of the swim. So some really, really impressive riding from our women here. And right now, our top 5 as it stands through one lap. Fenella Langridge in first, Julia Molo in second, but quickly being caught by Daniela Blymel, Kat Matthews, Els Visser, Maya Stage-Nielsen, and Jackie Herring.
And welcome back to Ironman Hamburg. We are currently following the chase pack that is Giulio Iemolo, before we head back to Fenella Langridge, who is our leading female, out in front at the last timing split, which was 149 kilometers. She had a 2.5-minute lead over Daniela Blymel. They are now in probably the last 20K before T2. We won't get another split until T2, so we're just waiting to see what deficit it is from Fenella back to Daniela. We've had lots of action in the last little while, the latest being Els Visser getting a flat tire on her rear disc wheel, but it looks like she has fixed it. She is back on the bike. As actually seeing the first signs of a bit of grimace, maybe, of Fenella as she just clears her breathing pipes to make sure, but just looking a little bit strained. But then you wouldn't expect that, or you would expect that rather, with 20 Ks to go at the last bit. And she's done a lot of this work at the front of the bike on her own. Oh,
she's done all of it at the front of the bike on her own. And yeah, I mean, at this point in the bike, I think you're starting to get ready to get off your bike. She's certainly an extraordinary runner as well, has had a couple of rougher run splits in past races, but we certainly know the potential is there. She has a marathon PB, I believe, around at 3 hours flat, and has ran 3:03 en route to that win at Ironman WA last fall. So we know she's got the goods to run well. Her run split at Ironman Texas wasn't extraordinary, but that was certainly an extraordinary day with the conditions. So time will tell, but definitely a strong runner. And I'm telling you, if we look at our women left on course, Fenella with a run PB of 3 hours and 36 seconds. Daniela Blymel back at Ironman Israel in 2022 ran 3 hours, 3 minutes. Maya at Ironman Texas ran, and that was in 2023, ran 3 hours flat. And Els Visser has an Ironman PB off the bike of 3:01 at Ironman WA. Again, similar courses, which is why I flat courses tend to yield faster run splits. But all of these women with really similar run PBs off the bike in the 3 hours to 3:03. Will they be able to bring the PBs today? If they do, things might actually remain relatively unchanged through this marathon. But if we know anything about Ironman racing, anything is possible. And to turn out a PB for all of these women on the very same day would be extraordinary. And then we've got the likes of Jackie Herring, who is a great, great runner, hasn't done an Ironman in almost a decade, so we don't know where she's at either. So her run PB is somewhere around 3:20, but that's ancient history.
Yeah, I was going to say, really interestingly, like we know Jackie over the last few years when she's been racing over the half and 70.3 distance, her running has been, although I guess she's always been a solid swimmer, and then that bike run combo has been a real strength. Prior to that, when she did do Ironman, her run was that 3:20, 3:30. Nothing certainly wouldn't be special in today's the way that women are running today.
Her bike splits too. I mean, she was a good all-around athlete, but she was not, and she had been on several podiums and won Ironman races, but wasn't what we would consider pointy arrow world championship caliber, and really has come to another level through her 70.3 racing.
Yeah, so it's really, we don't really know what Jackie is capable of running in the marathon and off the bike, although I am getting word from the ground that actually predicted, they're saying predicted Jackie could run a 250 or 252, and I have asked what they predict, or what the data behind that, and apparently that's based on training numbers, which obviously is a great way. It's what we've got at the moment, but we'll wait to see what happens, because you know, it's the first time it is a fast course.
Racing is different than training.
Racing is different than training, but you know, that could be pretty interesting if Jackie does run sort of that 250, or is capable of running 250, 252. Maya, I think, is around that 3 hour. Daniela is probably the 3:05 to 3:10. So yeah, but they're coming off the bike with not much time between them, so hopefully it's going to be more exciting things and as we've seen, anything can already happen, as it has already happened. So
and lots left to happen, no doubt. Multi-loop run course as well, 4 laps of this run course, so athletes going to be getting a lot of information out there from fans, and that becomes the question of who do you trust? Fans with great intentions, you'll get a split that says you're 2 minutes down, and the next minute somebody says, oh my gosh, you're 5 minutes down, and you're like, well, who do I believe? Who is sipping on their beer when they started their watch? But point being, there are going to be so many fans out there that these women are going to be getting extraordinary information throughout the entire Hoka run course. So there will be full knowledge, and it's what they are able to do with it and how they are able to physically capitalize it that's going to matter.
Yeah, and the difference with this run course, it's like you said, it's a 4-lap run course, but there's a lot of out and back sections, a lot of where the both ways on the run course are on the same path. So the athletes get the chance to see each other at those turnarounds when they're going up and down that path, compared to the bike course, which has been this one big lap, or 2 laps, but a one big loop. And so there's been there has been a few opportunities that the athlete Fenella's been able to see the chase pack and where they are, and here and stuff and things. But the run course will be really, there is an opportunity to clock where your competitors are, and that works both ways. That works for the leader; she can see where the chasers are, but also the chasers finally get chance to see where Fenella is.
Well, exactly, and Fenella will get splits certainly from her supporters as she comes off the bike, and might actually prefer a run and hide type of strategy. I think for the leader, that tends to be a better strategy, that you want to get out and get gone so people don't know where you are, out of sight, out of mind. But that is not a possibility on a course like this.
I mean, that was certainly her tactics, I think, on when she came through T1 after the swim, and to get out on the bike course, and with that, the big lap nature, that's certainly what she could do. It'll be a little bit more tricky on the run course. And I mean, we don't know if she knows what's going on behind her, and to some extent it doesn't really matter, because it's her race and it should be eyes forward, and it doesn't matter that Kat, Els, whoever else is dropping back. Like, she should just be eyes forward.
Yeah, she should be eyes forward, but I think it will certainly lighten her load to know that some of her competitors are out of the race, that the gap to Els is a little larger than it might have been otherwise. I think that's all going to bolster her, and could potentially change the way she attacks the marathon. Could be a little bit more conservative at the start. knowing that, you know, I think had Kat still been in the race, she would have wanted to send a message and gotten out hot and hard. Now she can sort of dial that back a little bit and be a little bit more patient in her strategy. But again, she's got advisors there who are not me.
I don't know if Fenella races patiently.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and that's not saying that's you know, there are plenty of athletes that race aggressively. Like she definitely, obviously attacks the swim. It's her strength. I feel she rides hard on the bike. I feel she she puts it all out there. She races with it. You know, she races to win.
But there is a mindset going into it that you don't have to do. Had Kat still been in the race, had Els not given up, we still don't know how much time with the puncture. Fenella was gonna have to pull out an extraordinary race, and now Fenella can go into this race and say, I don't need to do anything different than I'm capable of doing. I don't need anything extraordinary out of my run. I need like the run I'm capable of putting out.
Yep, and great to see that Fenella safely navigated that 180 turn. We saw some events happening on the first lap with Sarah Svenks running into the back of Els Visser on lap 1. So Fenella safely through back into the tunnel. So yeah, only a few minutes away now from T2.
Yep, starting to think about the run now. Certainly she'll get some information. She will deposit her bike and get going. And more importantly, we will get a split, certainly on Fenella in the extraordinary performance. And if Laura Phillips' bike course record will fall, predicted to do so,
yeah,
I believe.
What are we now? Race time is 5:20. Swim was 50 minutes, give or take. So yeah, it's looking like it might be a new course record. And is this Fenella now loosening off her shoes? So definitely about to come in or very close to transition. There's a penalty tent, so transition must be pretty soon. I think we're seeing the riders go to the left to start their second lap. Fenella is to the right to go into T2.
And this is the stuff that Fenella lives for, the crowds welcoming her back to T2. She'll give a big smile as she dismounts at the dismount line and runs her bike in. We call this the judgment zone, and thankfully here in Hamburg we have a very large judgment zone where we are able to judge the athletes' form as they stand up and try to stretch out those hip flexors, get those legs working, as we take a look at our bike split presented by our friends at Wahoo Element Bolt. Time of 4:26:50 for the 178 kilometers.
Yeah, and
right up her tail, holy smokes. Daniela Blymel with an extraordinary close to the bike course, erasing the bike course record. Now sits at 4:20:47 for Daniela Blymel, a mere 26 seconds back of Fenella Langridge.
And I don't think Fenella will have seen Daniela coming in, and Fenella held that bike course record for all of 26 seconds before Daniela Blymel came and erased it, taking off 10 minutes off Laura Phillips' record.
It's extraordinary.
Which is pretty impressive. And that's, yeah, that gap, you know, she was with Els, and Daniela will be able to see Fenella up the road, but Fenella, I don't think will have any clue that Daniela was so close behind until she gets somebody. But Fenella's looking like she's running pretty well. She looks pretty good there.
No, it takes a minute. Like we joke in calling this the judgment zone, but it is our first look to see if the athletes look bent over and who's able to sort of find their form and get themselves upright as she makes this very long run. I'm betting she is getting information that, I mean, she would have heard the roar of the crowd, you know, the Germans for their own, the announcer as well. So, oh, here we come, Maya and Julie Imolo into transition as well. So we will wait, still waiting for Jackie Herring that we expected there, and then obviously seeing what the deficit Els Visser suffered with the puncture.
But interestingly, like, that's a great ride. Second half of the bike for Maya and Julie. They took out another kind of minute or so. There's Jackie Herring just through at 2 minutes. So actually, all of those women have taken time out of Fenella.
But the point, another point I want to make, Jackie Herring's bike split of 4:25:48 bests her old best bike split by nearly an hour. Her previous best bike split was 5:20 something.
Jackie?
Yeah.
As a pro?
Yes, and she just biked 4:25:48. So congratulations, Jackie Herring. That's a heck of a PB.
You just smashed your PB.
She's got to be laughing to herself. Like, she's just she's an entirely different athlete, and how extraordinary to see something like that.
Look at this, the top 5 women.
All within 2 minutes.
All within 2 minutes, which we weren't expecting, and this is it, you know, we weren't expecting at the last timing split or halfway through the bike. We still don't know where how much Els lost as Fenella goes out onto the Hoka run course. So we'll wait to see where Els comes in and then start making the judgments on how much time she might be able to run in. But yeah, exciting times. We've got a race on our hands.
Yeah, we sure do. But also, I mean, we've talked about the level of women's racing and men's racing. It's just skyrocketing week after week after week, it seems, but not terribly surprising for the athletes to be that close. This is a bike course that, again, we've talked about. It's hard to get separation. Really, really hard to get separation on a flat, fast bike course like this. And I think the results today prove it with our top 5 women all within 2 minutes and still waiting on Els Visser.
That's right, as we're just in T2, Maya, there's Jackie Herring coming in, grabbing her bag. Maya putting on her Hoka run shoes. It looks like the Carbon X2. As we go back to Daniela running out onto the Hoka run course. And now it's really hard to tell. I would say Fenella has a bit more of a bounce in her step, but then that also is her running style.
Yes.
She is quite bouncy. Daniela Blymel isn't a bouncy runner, if that makes sense, but that doesn't mean to say that she's not running as efficiently or effectively for an Ironman marathon.
I mean, some might say it's more efficient. There's less energy expenditure
because
she's not. The vertical oscillation isn't as high. There's not the same energy expenditure going up and down. She definitely is more of a strider as opposed to a bouncer. But again, different styles. But optically, you would look at the two of them and say that right now, a 1/10 of a mile into the Hoka Marathon, that Fenella does look, quote unquote, I use my air quotes, better.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, Fenella always kind of goes out pretty well, and I think just Daniela has that different style where she just chips away and, doesn't look like she's running as fast and perhaps doesn't look like she's running as well, but is pretty effective and gets the job done for the marathon at the end of an Ironman. And out in third is Julie Yamolo. Also just sort of always takes a few kilometers to find your run legs after you've been on the bike for the last 4 hours. We are going to come back to find out how the Hoka run course unfolds right after this break.
Back to our action here, Ironman European Championship Hamburg. You're looking at Daniela Blymel, who currently stands in second place on the Hoka Marathon course. We have 8 of our professional women off the bike right now. Fenella in first. Daniela Blymel out on course second. Maya Stage-Nielsen has gone past Julia Omolo and sits in third. Jackie Herring in fifth. Sarah Svensk, who took a tumble on the bike, she is off the bike in sixth. Els Visser, who we now see grabbing her bag in transition, she sits in seventh place at 11:13 down. And the very fast running Laura Jansen now in transition in eighth place. She is 12:06 down. So this is quite a marathon battle.
Yeah, and really interesting that Els obviously lost that bit of time with the flat tire, but still into transition now. But if she's with Laura Jansen, and Els, I think, has a good run in her, and maybe they can use each other to take out some. I think it's a big ask for them to claw their way back to the lead.
Yes.
That 11, 12 minutes. Who knows, though? We're only in the first couple of kilometers of the marathon. We've got 42 kilometers to go, and anything can happen.
And if I'm Laura Jansen, and obviously she wants to race well, but she also wants a qualifying slot for Nice, I'm going to staple myself to Els Visser. Maybe let her set the pace and draw me out, and perhaps deeper into qualifying slot territory. Certainly in the early stages of the run, use that as your carrot. Distance yourself from the women behind. We know Laura Jansen is a very, very good runner. She may not necessarily need that help, but take the help where you can get it.
And she's sitting in, I think from you when you worked out the slots and stuff, that 8th position was sitting in our 6th qualifier, and there are 6 slots today for the pro women for the VinFast Ironman World Championships in Nice. 5 of those athletes have already got slots. One of them was Kat Matthews, but Fenella has, and Els has, and they're still up there, and Maya has. So a huge opportunity for Laura Jansen to qualify again. I mean, she qualified last year at Frankfurt for Kona in her first year of racing over the distance, and now has got a chance to get to Nice as well in September.
And watching Daniela Blymel here on camera, she's found her form. I would say through transition, she was looking a little lower to the ground, but she has got her stride and is up and running. And as we look at our top 5, Fenella Langridge, Daniela Blymel, Julie Yamolo, Maya Stage-Nielsen, Jackie Herring. Welcome back to the action here. Ironman European Championship Hamburg. You are looking at our race leader, Fenella Langridge, but in that second timing segment from 4 kilometers to 8.5, Fenella has definitely slowed while others are accelerating and holding steady. Again, minimally, but athletes slowly reeling in, and you and I had spoken off camera, not disrespectfully, but Fenella's looking a little worked.
That's right, and if we just bring you our race weather update by Roka, our UV index had just gone up to 1. That was the thing I was going to say.
That's why we should have put sunscreen on.
Suncream on. That's what I wanted to tell you.
Humidity continuing to drop.
Humidity still continuing to drop. It's around that 17 degrees C, so like really nice temperature for racing, albeit that humidity is quite high. Still overcast, which I think is a great for these guys on the run. But yeah. This is, and then you can see how close it is now that Daniela Blymel is going through that aid station that we just saw Fenella leaving and going around the corner.
Yeah, it's shaking up. Although I will say, again, the camera angle is deceiving, but Daniela Blymel is looking a little bit different than the last time we saw her as well.
Yeah, I think it is so hard, like the camera angle. I mean, I was watching a video that Julie had taken of me running in training, and the running from behind looked awful, and then when the camera moves around to the side, it looks completely different. So catching the camera from behind it isn't necessarily the best view or the best prediction, as this is Jackie now coming through that aid station that we just saw. Daniela, and you can just see up ahead as well, that's Maya Stage-Nielsen. So yeah, these top 4 women all within that 90 seconds, and I think that is coming down. Now, that could all be that they've got out pretty hard and got excited by chasing down the women ahead. But we'll see as the marathon unfolds.
I was gonna say, everyone's who's putting their cards on the table and who's already played their hand. That is what is to be determined. And let's not forget Laura Jansen, our fastest mover on course in the very early stages, could start picking off some of these women ahead of her as well, in particular Julie Yamolo. And of course, we have to wonder where Els Visser is.
That's right, because actually out of everybody on screen, Laura Jansen is our fastest runner. Well, not fastest mover, but also has the fastest sort of marathon time or predicted time. Not by much, like literally by sort of 30 seconds or a minute over Maya and Fenella, but you know, that could could prove important by the end of it.
I mean, we talk a little bit about, you know, all of these women have extraordinary run PBs that are all within the same neighborhood of one another. However, who is consistent in the application of those kinds of times?
And it's interesting as well. Like, there's no standout runner with this lot.
Yeah.
They are all very similar, and so it could be very exciting as the race goes on. We don't have that runner who's running a 2:50, so they are all around that 3-hour marathon mark.
On the day.
On the day.
And whose day will it be, and who can be their consistent self on this day. But as we talked about, the UV index of a mere 1, if you are looking for a little bit more sunshine on your Ironman race day, we think we have the fastest course, and you can come put it to the test in Sacramento. Break your best. After a PR-setting downriver swim, athletes will take on a flat out-and-back bike ride through the scenic farm country, followed by a festive run through downtown Sacramento, ending at the steps of the California State Capitol. Whether you're hoping to complete your first Ironman or aim to achieve a personal best, you'll find it here at Ironman California. You can join us on October 27th, 2024 for this unmatched Northern California event. Register today.
And perfectly timed as we wrap up about Ironman California and come back to Ironman Hamburg in Germany. Not so much Californian sunshine, but some grey clouds in Germany as we are on screen now. Jackie Herring and Maya Stay Nelson. Looks like Jackie is about to make the pass, so that would be Jackie moving up into thirds position, I believe.
Yes.
Maya, but it'll be interesting to see if Maya can go with her or they use each other. It would be really hard through this section of town with all the crowds. Like, you'd get carried away, wouldn't you, with the pace, and you're just catching up with Maya and about to overtake someone, and then you've got all these crowds and cheering you on, and yeah, trying to keep it under control.
And Maya can hear her now. That's one of the things with the super shoes in this day and age, that they're very clunky on the ground. You can hear them coming more than you used to be able to.
What do you think they just said to each other? They had a conversation. They passed words. They're now running. What do you think Maya or Jackie said? Or
they
what would you
pointed
say?
up the road, so they must be pointing towards Daniela, perhaps?
They're having a chat and they're having a smile. And I think Jackie's saying, why didn't someone remind me this is how horrible it was?
Although it's not horrible for Jackie right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
she's picking off runners right and left and having a good go of it. And I think if you're Jackie, for an athlete who's been around, and I'm not commenting on her age, she's still everyone's very young compared to me. I was going to say, everyone's young compared to me. But, you know, for an athlete her age who's been around the sport as long as she has, she's got to have a little bit of a rookie euphoria about her coming back to Ironman racing after a 9-year hiatus. I mean, she's a completely different human than she was when last she left the full distance. And it's got to be so refreshing for her to be like, hey, look at what can happen in just a decade worth of work.
And she did say that. She did say she feels like a rookie. She's been asking the other athletes about their nutrition tips and that sort of thing. I'm not sure they were going to give her anything, or maybe they'd give her the wrong information. As we just go and recap our top 5 in the female pro race. So Fenella Langridge in first, Daniela Blymail in second, just 24 seconds behind now. Maya Stej-Nelson and Jackie Herring, we just saw them at 1 minute back, and Giulio Yemolo at 2:37.
Fenella looking a little better to me.
Yeah.
She's still wearing the grimace a little bit. She's got some shoulder roll in her stride, trying to get the elbows to drive that stride, but she's got a little hitch in it.
Yeah, I think she's looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean, the others are slowly eating into her lead, but not by huge amounts. And early on, and you know, we don't know. That's not necessarily Fenella suffering or slowing. It's just maybe the others have seen the carrot up the road and are going out pretty hard to catch her, and actually Fenella's just playing the cool game, and she's actually playing the lasting game. She's going to be the one there at the end.
We call that the long game.
The long game, that was the word I was trying to think of.
We call that the long game.
The lasting game.
Yeah.
It's a new concept if you haven't heard of it.
I think it's a golfing concept, actually. The long game.
The long game or the lasting game? I don't know. Ask Maya. Maybe she
I
can
know.
help us
Well,
on that one.
let's just stop Maya in her third place assault on the Ironman European Championship. Hey, Maya.
That looked like she was grabbing a drinks from the Portaloo. So we've talked about Maya, who is a golfer. We talked about Catherine, who is a 500-meter kayaker. We've talked about Els, who's a surgeon and
shipwreck survivor.
Kat was in the army. We've also got Erin, who used to be a rower.
Oh. And here we have Jackie Herring, who is now in second place in a minute.
Yeah. Here we go.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It was much more important that we were on the race course. We've got a few medical students in there. Let's see if they have the same conversation. Oh yeah, Jackie's very chatty.
She's just so chatty. I mean, she's obviously feeling good.
Yeah.
It's hard to have those pleasantries. I'm sure Daniela might not have reciprocated them. It's easy when you're the passer versus the passee. If the passee tends to grunt back in response, but Jackie's having a day. She's having an absolute day out there. Could we see Jackie Herring return to the Ironman distance and win the whole kit and caboodle?
I was about to say that because I'm going to...
And where will she be if she wins today's race in the standings?
I will tell you in a minute once I got over my... There was Kristen in the German Youth Olympic team. I've got all these facts. Right, where will Jackie be? I'll come back to you on that one.
She's doing math.
She will also be in the lead. She would go to... So Jackie is currently 8th in our Ironman Pro Series. She raced... she was second in Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga. And also did St. George as well.
She's chatting up everybody.
Was third in St. George. She's currently in 8th on 4,759 points. So if she wins, that means 9,759 points.
But
so
if
she
Fenella
would be
is less behind...
All right, do you want me to work that one out? All right. Give me, I might need the calculator for that one.
We're going to see some smoke come out of us here pretty soon.
But pretty long day.
Jackie Herring being a good citizen there and pointing out an age group athlete who is about to lose his nutrition out of his back pocket. So
I think Jackie's being a mum.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jackie is being a mum. She's got no kids there this weekend.
Well, but it implies she's still clear in the head, right? Like she's noticing things, taking the time to point them out. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not long now because last time he met, Daniela was only 24 seconds behind Fenella, and here we have Fenella. So Jackie now has Fenella Langridge in her sights and still looks relaxed. It doesn't look like Jackie is overexerting herself by any means.
That's right. So Jackie is currently basically 14 minutes behind Fenella on a per second point basis.
14 minutes?
Yes.
So Jackie would have to beat Fenella by 14 minutes in order for Jackie to take the lead in the series, not Fenella.
Think so.
Fenella is 834 points ahead of Jackie.
Yes.
So what's 834 seconds? Divide by 60.
Yes, that's what I did. 13.9.
13.9.
minutes.
There we go. 14 minutes.
Whew, phew,
yeah.
Got it right. I was starting to worry being
for calculators.
Engineer and maths. Yeah, Jackie's looking great. Let's see what do you think she's going to say this time? Good. Like Jackie's just... Do you think Jackie's at this point going, oh my gosh.
Why haven't I been doing Ironman all along?
I'm in the lead.
Yeah.
After 9 years, 2 kids, thought I was, and was very competitive over that 70.3 distance, over that half distance, had some great results. And now has come back to racing, thanks to, she did say, the draw of the Ironman Pro Series. It was exciting for her. She has a new coach as well, we were talking about earlier, Ian O'Brien, who is typically coaching a coach of short course athletes.
But it just goes to show you, and a lot of times, you know, Ironman athletes will say when athletes maybe have focused on the 70.3 distance, step up to Ironman, that it quote unquote kills their speed, right? That they're not as fiery and competitive at the 70.3 distance because they've layered all of this volume, this quote unquote long, slow distance that slows them down and they can't tap into that speed anymore. But I think Jackie's selection of a coach just goes to show that even in an Ironman distance, that speed really does matter.
Yeah. And I think, like, I think it also goes to show kind of that coach-athlete relationship. And if you find a coach that you communicate well with, that gets how you train, you know, understands her commitments as a mum with kids and as a wife, as a family, and jobs and stuff, and then the travel involved and what races you pick and stuff, like, I think that is so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
and you trust your coach.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you...
I'm not saying the others don't, obviously.
Be darned what that athlete's, you know, perceived strength is or specialization is. If Ian O'Brien is known as a short course draft legal coach because a majority of his squad is comprised of such, I think he's just proven that he's no slouch at Ironman coaching either.
I wonder if he's stayed up.
I know, we should give him a shout and
or
tell him to wake up.
If
he's a former military guy, so what? It's about 4:30 in the morning back in the States in Colorado.
Yep.
He may be up. He may be
Might
up.
have got up early to see the run, and we'll see his athlete Jackie Herring in the lead. I wonder if her kids are up, her family are up watching. I wonder if they've stayed up all night to watch, because I think she's just there on her own. I think she just traveled across.
Which again, we talk about some of the moms being a bit of a. I mean, God bless kids, and they all love them, but a little bit of a holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Come and do an Ironman race. Sounds amazing. But Jackie Herring is our leading female, so obviously the splits that you see on the board were at the last timing check, which was at the end of the first lap at 10.4 kilometers when Jackie was in fourth place. But now, a few kilometers on, she has overtaken Maya, she has overtaken Daniela, and she just overtook Fenella, and she is now on her return to Ironman racing after a 9-year hiatus. She is now leading our European Championships Ironman Hamburg.
She looks fantastic. She looks super relaxed.
I think she looked a bit in shock, to be honest.
She looks absolutely super relaxed. She's got great torsion through the core, driving sort of the hips and the pace. I mean, she looks remarkable. Calm, cool, collected. We'll see if she stays that way after this quick break. Don't go away. We're going to come right back to you. Back to the action here in Hamburg for the Ironman European Championship for professional women. You're watching Fenella Langridge, who held the lead through the entire bike course and the early stages of the marathon. She has fallen to fourth place. So Daniela Blymel has gone past Fenella Langridge as her pace has slowed to nearly 4.5-minute kilometers. But up the road ahead through 20.9 kilometers in the conclusion of the second of 2 laps on this Hoka Marathon course, Maya Stage Nielsen has eaten away another handful of seconds on Jackie Herring. Jackie made a move to the front of the race about a lap ago, maybe a little less than a lap ago, but Maya has not let her go and has been biting back time from about 29 seconds now, just 18 seconds. Both of those women still moving incredibly well at sub 4-minute Ks. Daniela Blymel now through 20.9 kilometers as well. Her pace holding steady around 4:11. She's been as slow as 4:15. It really is Fenella Langridge who is falling apart the worst amongst our top females so far.
So it's getting quite interesting now. I think Maya might be sensing that she's got an opportunity here to take her first win, and we've been saying all through the broadcast how she's had so many great results over the Ironman distance and 70.3, but she hasn't yet had that Ironman win, and I'm just wondering if she's starting to realize and believe that this could be her day. Conversely, on the other hand, Jackie Herring, who's currently leading, she's potentially, you know, that what a story to come back after 9 years of not racing a full distance, to come back and take the win. And so that's got to be a bit of a story as well.
Strategically, if you're Maya, do you run up and just sort of keep her in your sights and feel comfortable for as long as you can and wait until a little bit later to make a move? Or do you want to go by her? And I mean, obviously, you know, Jackie's getting information, her husband is there, fans are giving her, I mean, they can see one another, or at least Maya can see Jackie, because unless Jackie has eyes in the back of her head, that would be something else. But do you sort of bide your time for another lap and wait to battle it out on the last lap, or do you take the lead and try to make a decisive move now? I think against an athlete like Jackie, she may just answer right back.
She may do. I think, though, you looked at the way Maya was running and you go with momentum.
Yeah.
You go, if you're in rhythm and you're feeling good, you make hay while the sun shines. And I don't think you rush to catch up, but you use the rhythm, the momentum you've got with how you're feeling to move ahead, to catch Jackie if that's the case, and then move past her now. Whether when Maya, if she does catch up with Jackie again, she surges and picks up the pace to go past Jackie and sort of put that nail in the coffin, or you know, do a little bit of a surge to show that, oh look, I'm feeling really good. You're gonna have to pull something out of the bag to stay with me or to bring it back. But yeah, I think go with momentum that you've got for that at that point.
And quite a battle going on right now between third and fourth. So Daniela Blymel had gone past Fenella Langridge, but that gap stays at just 30 seconds. So those two pretty much locking horns and deep in battle as well.
Yeah, really exciting racing. Like we said, you know, the top 5 women, I mean, they're still only 4 minutes apart. They were 90 seconds apart at the first early stages on the run, but if we look at that podium, we're still within like 2 minutes of each other, and still with 2 laps to go. We're only just halfway, or just over halfway through the marathon here at Ironman Hamburg, and I definitely, this race is definitely not over. I think this lead might change at least, I think, one more time, whether that's back and forth, or maybe, yeah, as you said, Maya might catch up to Jackie, and then maybe they'll run together. They had a bit of a chit chat at the first passing. Yeah, maybe that'll happen again.
Certainly could see some out and back, but right now, to your point, the momentum with Maya Stage Nielsen looking very, very good, smiling on her face. A little stumble there on the cobblestone, so under the bridge, the lighting not quite as good. Just caught her foot there on one of the cobbles, but recovered nicely. No ill effects. And still waiting to get a split on Els Visser to see how she's moving back at 19K, 4:07. So she's still moving very, very well, and could, you know, she's making inroads on Julie Amolo if she can hold it together, and even, dare I say, while she's still 9-ish minutes back of Fenella, if Fenella continues to degrade and Els can still run strong. I mean, Els can run her way
top 5.
Certainly top 5 and possibly podium, depending on what happens with Daniela Blymel.
Yeah, and for those of you waking up early morning in the US who might be tuning into our broadcast of Ironman Hamburg, Els did get a flat tire on the latter stages of the bike. So was pushing the pace in the chase pack, but unfortunately had a flat tire in her rear disc wheel, and struggled with her CO2 valve to put air back into that tire, with the valve not fitting the disc wheel. So lost, I think it was about 9 minutes or so in the end. So that's why, if some of you are tuning in, thinking Els Visser might have been a little bit further up the race than where she currently is, and that's because she had that flat tire with about 20 Ks to go.
Back to our leader, it is Jackie Herring, and I'm looking over her shoulder. I can't see Maya back there, but it is only 20 seconds, so it can seem like an eternity, and every timing mat it's been a second or two. So it hasn't been any significant great shakes, but it's a second or two, here and there, here and there. But as that time keeps coming down, she will get the splits. And again, it's hard from the supporters because you look down at your watch, was that 23 seconds? Was that 25 seconds? And when you're sort of nipping away at a lead 1 second at a time, those seconds matter in the accuracy that you're getting. And at this point, I don't think she can see Jackie. And as we discussed, the course getting more and more crowded as the age groupers join in on this Hoka run course. And as spectators come out, I think Maya's best chance, certainly Jackie's wearing hot pink, so that makes her a little bit easier to spot. But also her escort cyclist is going to be the thing that is probably most visible to Maya.
I thought you were going to say Jackie's wearing hot pants, which I guess a tri-suit kind of semi
Looks
is, but
like hot pants.
yeah, but hot pink definitely is what Jackie is wearing. Maya is in a very, I do like Maya's suit, but it is more subtle. It does more blend into the environment. In fact, I think, is that the pink up the road, potentially? Can we now see them on this bend? I think maybe Maya might have got eyes on of Jackie just as the run course just goes on a slight curve along the banks of the Alster here in Hamburg. I certainly think Maya will be getting excited at the prospect, and I think this is on this longer out and back section along the banks of the Alster. So at this turnaround, they're going to get a good eyeballs on each other again.
I mean, I can find no fault with how Jackie's running, but Maya just has a bit of an edge right now and is clawing her back. Again, it's not significant. It's not like Jackie is falling apart, but Maya's not letting her go. So it's just indicative of how well Maya is feeling right now this deep into the marathon.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got half a marathon to go. Here we are. They're both on this shale section. It's really hard to tell how Jackie is feeling. She's kind of got a semi-smile, could be a semi-grimace, but is running really well and looks pretty good to me. And the same when we look at Maya on screen now. Maya's looking really good, moving well. And I think, yeah, I mean, we've still got, as we said, still got half the marathon to go, but I think this is going to be a really exciting battle between the two of them.
Oh, it has been. I mean, it has been since we had the huge upset of the apple cart late into the stages of the bike where everything started happening, and it's all been happening ever since.
It has all been happening ever since. We had Els with the mechanical. We've had some crashes, corners, and the rest. So yeah, we're now, there's still a lot more that can happen as well, I think, on this course.
Absolutely. I mean, the drama that can ensue in the second half of a marathon at the end of an Ironman is astronomical. So you'll want to absolutely stay tuned as we check back in with Daniela Bleimel, holding on to third place as Fenella continues to move further behind. Julia Molo holding steady in fifth place, and Els Visser now 11 minutes down from our leader, but only 7 minutes down of Julia Molo. So she's running 15, 16, 18 seconds per K faster than Julia Molo. So Els Visser still in this mentally very much engaged and trying to erase the damage that puncture on the bike had caused her, can insert herself into top 5, possibly long shot podium. Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. I think looking at how much time she's sort of eaten into that top 5 in this first half of the marathon, it's not a huge amount. She's still sitting at 7 minutes behind Julie Yamolo in 5th. However, we will see if Els Visser can claw back any more time when we come back after this break.
In her home country, she's talked about, having family support out there in Provence at the 70.3, some other race memories at some of the, I'll call them local French races, but some of the wonderful venues that Ironman has in France. Those are some of her fondest memories, and you better believe that Nice would just add perhaps atop that list of French memories in her home country.
Did we mention also that Julie Yamolo has a border collie?
Yes,
called
named
Peach.
I was going to say Peach, called the French version of how you say peach in French.
Exactly, that's the one. Elizabeth Curidori has a dog called Kona.
Yes.
I'm going to go through my dog facts now as we back with Jackie Herring as the leader.
This to me is telling. In the beginning, Jackie would engage. She was engaging with people on the sidelines. She was chatting with age group athletes. She was chatting up the pros. There we just had an age grouper try to sort of high-five her, and I don't know whether that's tunnel vision and she didn't even see it, or if she's just in a state that even sticking her hand out is extra energy. She doesn't want to race, but she is internally focused right now as she gets ready to take on this fourth and final lap of this European Championship.
At what point do you think in Jackie's return to the Ironman racing today, and it's also her first ever European race, certainly first ever European Ironman. She has done 16 before, but at what point during today do you think everything came flooding back to her about why she stopped racing 9 years ago?
I'm going to say it was just before that guy tried to high-five her, and she told him to get lost. Not really. She didn't say that. She would never say something like that. She's far too kind. But she definitely is internally focused right now.
Yeah.
You know, you would think going through a bit of a scream tunnel as we have here with the fans banking both sides of this race course as they head out for their fourth and final lap, that you would get a little bit of a boost, a smile, grab a high five, but not Jackie Herring. She's in a world of her own right now.
It is what they said, isn't it, as well, about the run course, this 4 lap, and you do run past the finish line, what is it, three times before you get to go down the finish. And whether that's 3 lots of motivation or 3 lots of pain as you see that finish line and have to go past it.
Yeah.
And
the finish line saying, nanny, nanny, boo, boo.
Yeah, the other interesting fact is one of our Ironman commentators on the ground, Till Schenk, is a very good friend of Maya's and has been a big supporter, big friend for many, many years in Maya's racing. So I know that whilst he wants all the women to do well, and he is impartial in his commentary and does a very good job about that, I know he'll have and I think we saw him as she did run through that crowd, just trying to give an extra big cheer to really get her to this finish line and get her to maybe take that first win that she hasn't had on the board yet.
Yeah, Till's got to cheer a little harder because that last timing split, she just gave up a few more seconds. Again, we're not talking meltdown, but the lead now 1 minute 15 seconds. So we need Jackie to enter a real world of hurt, or we need Maya to find another gear. But Jackie continues to inch away from her. As Maya brought her back in, inch by inch, Jackie is continuing to inch further and further away and running out of time for Maya to do anything about it.
Yeah, she's running out of real estate, isn't she? And look, I'm going to be so excited to see if Jackie holds on for this win. I think that's a fantastic story. I will be a little bit like, I think Maya, because she is such a professional athlete, she's going to be super happy with her race. I do feel there might be that little bit of the one that got away again as she comes back with sort of another podium place, which is incredibly highly credible for Maya. She has an incredibly good resume of races. It's just that win that is missing that I feel that it would be great if she could just get, and I think maybe it's just starting to slip away from her during this race. But if we recap where our women are up to at the moment, so our leader Jackie Herring is through 31.4 kilometers onto her last lap. Maya Stage-Nelson is in second. We have German local Daniela Bleimel in third, British athlete Fenella Langridge in fourth, and French athlete Julie Yimolo in fifth. I think she'll be pretty happy with the decision she made to come back to the Ironman racing. I'm keen to see what her next Ironman race is. I have a feeling maybe Placid back in the USA, but maybe the European racing has given her the bug.
Absolutely. So as she gets her eyes onto that red carpet, the smile comes across the face. All the way from Madison, Wisconsin, made the journey over here to Hamburg to compete against Europe's finest at the European Championship here in Hamburg. From Madison, Wisconsin, your 2024 Ironman European Champion, Jackie Herring. At just 2.5 minutes down. So what's that, 120,
We've got the clock.
34, 60 seconds. Again, we see those points melting away, but the big smile on the face of the Danish athlete. She is 35 years old, currently 12th place, but in a couple of seconds, that's all gonna change as well. Please welcome to the finish line your runner-up, Maya Stage-Nielsen. with eyes on the red carpet. Your first German athlete, the crowd going mad. She makes her home outside of Frankfurt, but Hamburg close enough to home for Daniela Bleimel. What a performance from her, a frustrating DNF to start the season, but here she is, 35 years old, from Germany, third place, Daniela Bleimel. And down goes Fraser.
Yeah. Now are they all?
But that position to me is worse than standing.
Well, you can't get back
on top
up
of it.
now.
Oh,
You can't get back up.
Yeah.
Now, are all those women who just crossed the line, are they all 35 years old, or is that a coincidence, or have you just read the same stat
No,
over and over again?
I have pulled each. If you go to the Ironman Pro Series website, proseries.ironman.com, all of the athlete profiles are up there and can be seen as we come back to Fenella Langridge. You know, she made a race of it. We thought she was going to in a tough spot for a while there, but she is not that far behind Daniela Bleimel.
Yeah, no, that's right. She's really sort of dug deep. She sort of started the marathon so well. She biked so well, as we know. She was leading up at the front of the swim. Faded a little bit in the middle, but has finished strong with another solid performance by the British athlete, Fenella Langridge.
And with that, as we noted, because she is within 14 minutes of Jackie Herring, will secure enough points to move her overall into first place in the Pro Series rankings, at least for this week and possibly another one to come. So fourth place, Fenella Langridge. And we have in third place, she's the first German across the line, but third place on the podium from Germany, it is Daniela Bleimel. Her time, 8:28:09. And she will take her athletic brew to help her celebrate.
Auf dem zweiten Platz in second place from Denmark in 8 hours 21:54.
And next up, our second place competitor. Much has been said about the emotion that this woman showed all day in racing. So solid, so strong. Not the top step yet for the Dane. Maya Stage Nielsen will stand on your second spot on the podium. Her time, 8 hours, 21 minutes, 54 seconds with a marathon PB of 2 hours, 55:45 for the former golfer from Denmark.
Und heute beim Kampf, your winner and Ironman European Champion from the United States in 8 hours 19.
And our women's champion, what a story. It's been a 10-year nearly hiatus for the American from Madison, Wisconsin. She is back to Ironman racing and back in a big way. She's been focusing on the 70.3 distance, and boy, did that pay dividends for her today as she struggles. Somebody get that champion a ladder.
Maybe she's just going to stand
sit.
in front.
She's
That's
just
brilliant.
going to sit. She is
Still trying.
This is pure comedy. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
Do you know
at
what?
this situation.
She can't. I think she's cramping. Do you know what? After the first full distance, after a long, long time, it does hurt so much more than, as you can see, Maya and Daniela, who have raced a little bit more recently.
But let's give it up for our champion from the United States, Jackie Herring. She will take the second place in the overall rankings behind our fourth place competitor, Fenella Langridge, who did enough on the day to secure the points as our women see the women cooperative. I love that. Jackie Herring's winning time, 8 hours, 19 minutes, 14 seconds with a stunning marathon time of 2:52:32. She establishes an Ironman PR of almost over an hour compared to the last time she competed all those years ago. And of course, let's be mindful of the socials. So Maya with the camera out, you can check out Maya Stage Nielsen's Instagram, and that will be there momentarily. But get the phone out of the way.
She needs to move the phone for her.
Because now it's time
beer.
for the Athletic Brewing Bath celebration. And of course, poor Jackie's going to get it all because she can't move, the poor thing.
I did think when the other two were standing up, they were just going to pour
Dump
it on
over her head. Yeah.
a
I
little
will
bit.
say with the cooler temperatures today, that Athletic Brew does add a little bit of a chill, which might only enhance poor Jackie's cramping there. But what a fantastic podium, and what a race these women put on today. The level of competition and the drama. It was not a snooze fest of an Ironman. There was back and forth. There was drama. There were penalties. There were crashes, and there were outstanding performances and memories that we will take from this race result in Hamburg.
Yeah, it was a really exciting race. Some fantastic racing by the women, some great performances, and also lots of change and movement in the points for the Ironman Pro Series. Obviously, the winners taking away a lot of points, taking away a nice chunk of a prize money cash as well, but those points going towards the Ironman Pro Series at the end of the year. I think we now see it'll be quite a big change in that ranking that we'll have a look at shortly. But yeah, fantastic racing by the women today.
And we will certainly look forward to the men contesting their European Championship as we take a look at our top 10 standings, or top 10 results from today. In first, Jackie Herring. She'll take home 5,000 points. Second place, Maya Stage Nielsen gets 4,840 points. Daniela Blymel will take home 4,465 points. Fenella Langridge takes home 4,378 points and will assume the #1 position. Fifth place, Els Visser at 4,189 points.
That's right, and in sixth place, Julie Yemolo. She's 4,111 points. Laura Jansen in seventh. Elisabetta Curidori in eighth. And in ninth place, Erin Schenkels from Canada. And she will take home 3,635 points.
This copyrighted broadcast of World Triathlon Corporation may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of World Triathlon Corporation.